Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to pack your bags and fly off to the wonderful world of Fuji Speedway in Japan. I'm JP. I'm going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Tom Cairns, who's going to come along for the ride of his life this evening. I'm sure it's likely to happen. And of course, as always, we've got Mr. Paul Glover in our ear roll tonight as well. Let's have a look at the schedule and what we've got coming up for the rest of the season. You can see we're at Fuji for today, and then we go on to 100 laps of Road Atlanta on the 25th of October. Then we finish the season on the 15th of November, where we go and tackle 2 hours of Bahrain to end out on that one. We haven't got a track map for tonight, but I can tell you it's 2.827 miles, 4.54 kilometers in length, and there is currently 16 turns that these guys are going to have to combat here as well. And that long run, you can see it on your screen now, right the way down into turn one is going to be something of a challenge. Keys to the race: hold on to tires, set up for sector 3. I'll tell you why very shortly. Plan on changing weather, i.e. it is Japan, it can rain at any point. GT cars 30 to 35 minutes, 2 stops. Hypercars 20 to 24 minutes, and it's 3 to 4 stops. Tyres, medium hards, medium softs, and hards on that one. There we go. Look at that. Strategy corner, hardcore. Watch closely races in sector 1. Really use GTs to attack and defend. Tyres, medium hard, 20 to 24 minutes, 3 to 4 stops. Cars to beat: V Series 963 and the 499. Moving on, GT3. Keep tyres cool for turn 1. Bus stop. Turn 9 and stiffer setup to attack. Medium tyres, 30 to 35 minutes, 2 stops. AMG Vantage 296 and 992. Moving on now here as well to the scores on the doors at this current moment. Dan Kirby leading the way on 295 points at this moment in time, with Dan Herlock on 203, Cameron Barker on 164, then Magnus Dahlgren on 129, and Johnny Gutierrez on 127, with Mike Bell, Timon Suvic, Michael Locke, Troy Uyan, and John Uyan, Uyan father and son at the bottom, propping up the top 10, and you can see all the other 11 to 22. CMX Pro Cadillac V-Series Red leading the way at 459, with V-Series Smile Power Racing in second place. Heading on to the Hypercar AMS. Let's have a look at that. John Mayer out in front on 250 points, with Jerry Chen on 219. Vinicius Concalves on 194. Then George Angelidis on 132. It is kind of a top 3 battle at this moment in time. Then you've got Eric Monet, Matt Bice, Gwilym Benk, Mike Bice, Adrian Rice, Benjamin Poitier, Sean Kelly, Philip Decay, Stroll Hall, Hutchinson, Day, and Barge. Ikuri Mistral, Chen, Mayer, and Monet leading the way. That sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? Jen Meyer and Monet Associates. the Trash Panda Racing and AM Racing Alliance. Let's go on to the GT3, starting off with the pros. JT Sammy out in front on 284 points with David Junt on 272. Then you got Alan Holden on 155, closely followed by James Walker, then Matthew Overton, Luciano Charzo, Brian Van Buscum, Jaime Zalecki, Max Sunderlap, and Vasilius Kataranakis, and everybody from 11 to 19. Dark Thunder Racing, Aston Martin Vantage leading the way with JT Tammy, Jay Walker, and Maddie Overton. BHRX GSR Band Friction in second. Stardust Initial in third. Moving on to the GT3 AMS. Alexander McQuarrie out in front on 245, Peter Maher on 220, Adam Gray on 217, and Stephen Miller on 193. Scott's Pullen, Mazur, Anderson, and Graff are not really in it. It's going to be a top 4 fight between all of these guys. And on that one, with all the housekeeping done and up to date at this moment in time, let's bring Mr. Tom Kent into the booth. Tom, welcome in there, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm here for the ride of my life, whether it be over at the mountains or on the speedway. Well, take your pick with that one. But here we are, yes, the third to last round of the season. Yes, this year has flown by indeed. Dan Kirby has got one hand on the Hypercar Championship trophy this season after his latest triumph at Indy last time out. Can he build that and effectively wrap up the championship here? We'll soon find out. We are heading towards the end of qualifying, I think, unless we've already done the qualifying. We're in the warm-up now. We're into the warm-up, so we're not too far away, James, from the start of this 90-minute event here at the Land of the Rising Sun.
Tune on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be green, green, green very shortly. Let's pick it up on YouTube chat. Mr. Reese, waving. Hello, Mr. Reese. Kim D. Hello. Hello, Kim. How are you? What do we think is going to happen here? Fuji, for me, I don't know. Listen, I don't mind the track. What I do mind, and I've just noticed, is they've got it on that racetrack, is that janky chicane down at turn 10 and 11. That is going to cause more drama than an episode of EastEnders. It's going to be horrible. And I think that's going to be the main point of where things are going to crash.
I could agree with that. I'm not a big fan of the chicane because I think it ruins the flow of the cars going through there, but it is what it is. But there are a lot of satisfying areas around the circuit, particularly over that section after Cola, where you can literally slingshot. If you get a really nice exit out of there before that sharp left-hander, then you've got a chance of making up a place there. But the best places you're going to see overtakes, James, are over at turn 1 and over at the Dunlop chicane.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't think there's going to be a lot more going on after that, to be honest. Dunlop corner, I think, is going to be very difficult. And I do really predict that if we see one of them nights where we sit back and go, oh my God, it's a crash fest, that's where it's going to happen. Because it's all going to go wrong. And I can guarantee if you have 4 hypercars with 3 GTs going in that corner, it's going to be a battle of the testicles. It's just all going to go wrong, and they're all going to wait for somebody to back out. And it's just, you're going to have carnage. I don't like that chicane at all. In fact, I could go as far as despise that chicane, because going down such a fast run from turn 7 right the way down into 10, and then doing that tight 90-degree right-hander, nah. It ain't going to work. I'm sorry. I got a funny feeling it's going to cause major chaos down in that corner this evening. But we'll find out. And maybe I'm wrong or maybe I'm not wrong. Let me know in YouTube chat. Am I chatting utter rubbish? Or do you agree with me on that one? I think the flow of this circuit as well, as you say, from turn 3 right the way through down to that janky chicane, I think is good. And I think it's going to deliver great racing, great opportunity for some of these guys to start their overtakes. But I think other than that, from the last corner out of Panasonic down to turn 1, that's where most of it's going to happen.
I couldn't agree more. So there are apparently 29 drivers competing, 11 in the Hypercar, 7 in Hypercar AM. In LMGT3, there are 7. In LMGT3 AM, there are 4. Just so that you know. So we've got a lot of Hypercars actually this time around compared to what we had last time out at Indianapolis. And let's not forget that Dan Kirby and Timon Suvic finished on the same lap. No one else finished on the lead lap, which is quite astonishing. But hopefully here, we'll see a few more finish on the lead lap to the favourite to win this one, which I think is going to end up being Dan Kirby, because he's been so consistent all the way through, James. It's been very rare that he's had an off day.
Dude, that guy could go and literally get in a ride-on lawnmower and still beat some of these cars in a hypercar. I'm not lying. Mr. Reese has agreed with me in YouTube chat. He said it's going to be major chaos. There you go. That basically sums up turn 10 and 11. But Dan Kirby, dude, he is coming from, I don't know. He's literally, he's an alien. I don't know where he's coming from. Maybe his arch enemy is kryptonite and it causes him problems. I don't know. Dan Kirby is on a different level, and that's a different thing. And I think that's going to be the issue. However, going into NARS on Thursday, he did get beat. And it could be interesting to see what goes on here as well. He is human. He is man. He was fuel saving, trying to avoid the last stop, and ended up going down pit lane on the last lap of all things. So he is human. But I swear to God, it's going to be even more difficult for some of these guys to start going through on here as well. Looking forward to seeing how they get in. We've just been joined after in the booth by Mr. Ross Smith after his shopping trip to Walmart. Ross, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. How's it going, James?
I am Peachy Keen, Jelly Bean. I'm ready for this one. Chaos down in turn 10. What do you reckon?
For the race, absolutely. I mean, coming around there, that's going to be one of the heaviest braking zones besides turns 1 on the track. So, and it's, going into that tricky sector 3. So you really want to get ahead of any cars, particularly if you're a hypercar going into there. You want to get ahead of any of that slower traffic, because otherwise it's just going to be a death sentence for your lap time, just getting held up behind any of those slower cars. So yeah, absolutely. I think you're going to have a lot of guys going through there, and they're going to be missing their braking marks, and they're going to just be pushing a little bit too hard and trying to get that cut back more than they think they can. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Why did we put the chicane in? Why didn't we just have the run straight from 11 through to 12?
Well, it wouldn't be as exciting if it wasn't there, James.
Dude, I love excitement, but I also don't love chaos. You know what I mean? Like, literally, as I said, you might not know what the program is over here. It's called EastEnders. It's literally got more drama in 30 minutes than you've probably seen in your whole entire life. But it's like an episode, I don't know, of Friends for you. It's just going to be a nightmare. We're going to have hypercars. We're going to have GTs. It's just going to be absolute chaos.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. A lot of these guys, they know how to run the course. So even though there will be excitement and chaos through there, it's gonna be manageable. I think we're not gonna have shouldn't have any extremely dramatic moments. But yeah, definitely turn 10, turn 1. Those are gonna be the spots to watch for sure throughout this race.
Oh, dude, I do love your optimism. I love it. I love the optimism as well. I tell you what, it's just going to go wrong. But let's bring Tom back in. We've cut him up long enough. Tom, we've got a wonderfully long orange zone here this evening. Give us a rundown.
Yeah, so in case you're wondering what that orange zone is, it basically means no active overtakes on the first lap until you exit that orange zone and into the blue, which is just on the exit of turn 7. So
okay, are you sure we're in the right one here, Tom? I thought the orange zone was you can overtake, but penalties would be harsher. Ross, confirm or deny?
Correct. Yeah. If you're caught being naughty, then you're extra punished.
Well, there you go. You get whipped. Oh, that one. Fresh from Ross or George. So there we go. Look out for that one.
Not me. That's up to the
you lie.
stewards to
You
do
love
that.
playing cowboys and Indians. Don't tell
I just
fibs,
like
mate.
to watch. I sit back and enjoy, and as long as I'm not in the race, I'm just eating my popcorn.
You cop out. Absolute cop out, Mr. Smith. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very interesting indeed. I'm sure we're coming to the end of warm-up. We'll be able to bring you a grid very, very shortly on that one. You can listen to us and waffle on. Here, Ross, I want to catch up on some stuff. Me and you ain't spoken for a while. And hold it for 2 seconds. Listen, I want to talk. What's going on with the mods? Because we ain't had a mod chat this season, and we're at round 11. And there's a couple of cars, Ross, that's still blank inside here, son. What's going on?
We do have quite a bit going on. We're obviously getting a lot of work ready for next year's pack. So one of the biggest things that held us up in terms of just being able to get things updated was, of course, we had a mix of Studio 397 DLC for the GT3s in particular, and Storm Gang simulation cars. So as we went into this year, that was obviously not the case. We moved on to Evo versions of a lot of those GT3s. So every single car in the pack, 100% Storm Gang simulation, scratch build car. So as we were doing that, we were preparing some of the cars for next year. We were looking at it saying, we can balance these cars so much better if we just stick with our own homebrewed ones. We can actually make them the correct weight, the correct aero, all the stuff that goes into it, and balance them amongst each other way more easily. And so we said, let's go ahead. We will rework those previous packs, the 2023, 24, as we're going through, and we'll rebuild those using the new Evo versions. It makes sense. Those cars appeared, starting at least at 2023. So we can build those up and we'll make them nice. So unfortunately, that did pull us away because we did have to make those new cars. We had to go through all the testing. We had to build up the interiors and everything like that. And we're also working on bringing the new historic cars in for next year, for 2026. So a lot of that has taken up a lot of time. We've had a lot of that going on. And since I'm the only graphics person that's working on items right now, short of some of our team that could do some of the liveries, it's basically just backlogged. So we're working through that. I've gone through a lot of things over the last month or so. That's kind of, on the personal timeline of things, it's really set me back. But I can say that there still is a lot of progress going on in the background. And there are going to be a few things when we go into the next race at Spa for the 1985 season. You should see an updated March. So that one will be all nice and fancy. And so that will only leave the MCA left for that pack, and it'll be complete. So by the end of the year, that one can release into the wild, into the workshop. The public can enjoy it. Everyone can have a great time. It'll be a wonderful thing. So that's going to go ahead and make it fantastic. So that way we can just focus on all of the cars that are going into this modern series. You're going to see rapid deployment of interiors. A lot of the exterior stuff, it's going to be refined. So it's just going to start, one after the other, just pumping out. So it's going to be great.
Okay, well, then that confirms Mr. Reese in YouTube chat. It's like F1, they stopped development of the 25 cars for the 26 ones.
There's a little bit of juggling with the timing. I will say that, you guys have been patient, and we definitely want to reward that. There's a lot in the background. You're going to see it basically just kind of shotgun out almost all at once. So we appreciate the patience, the support, and everything that the community's given us, feedback, everything. So it will be rewarded in due time here.
Does anybody else realize that Ross is a sim racer, right? You can hear it coming out, can't we? You know what I mean? It's like the meme where he's flicking through the excuses drawer. I do love it as well. Do you know what? At the end of the day, this is one of these series where I sit back and I get excited about. Partly due to the fact that you love for the God of 2 years in a row now keep me in the dark about what's coming out in the following season for the historic. And that's the thing. I love the historic series. And it'd be great to know in advance what it actually is. But, I never do, because you lot keep me out of the loop and I find out on the first race of the season or something like that.
What do you mean? We were here. I was talking with Tom and Paul before.
You're so utter full of rubbish. Ross, you got up late. You had to go shopping. The wife sent you to Walmart. Dude,
oh, no,
you know
this is months ago when we were talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom remembers,
I wouldn't be able to remember anything, to be honest with you.
Look, Tom gets mixed up about what leagues we're in, son. So give him a break, will you? You know what I mean? It's early doors here. No, at the end of the day, listen, I think this is going to be great, and I love to watch the development of the cars, and I love to see everything that's going on, and I think it's great. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Listen, we're going to bring you out the grid now as well. Limerick Johnny. Hello, mate. Hello, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Right, here's the grid. Dan Kirby leading the way with Robin Bolin in the Aston Martin Valkyrie, Vuda Brun and Cameron Barker. Read around out the top four. Moving on from that one, we've got Magnus Dahlgren in his Toyota GRO with Timon Suvic in the Toyota. Johnny Gutierrez, the first one in the 9X8. Scrap the wing, Johnny. It's not really there. With Troy Uyan behind him on that one. John Uyan in ninth. That's going to be a Matty and son and dad battle. Matty Bice in 10th. Gilles Lalonde in 11th. Mike Bice in 12th. Bice has done really well this season. I'm proud of him. Good boy. Good job, boys. Alexander Schultz in 13th. Then you got John Mayer, George Angelinas and Carl Struhl. Up and down season for all four of them, really. So, we'll keep an eye out and see how they get on that one. Moving on, we've got Eric Bonet and Vinicius Concalves, and then leading the GT3s. What a surprise. In the Porsches, Ryan Paulbert Reyes. And Elko Bussink is back in the Mercedes AMG Evo. Then we've got David Junt and Alan Holden. That's going to be a wicked battle. Alexander McQuarrie leading the GT3 AMS with Dark Thunder Racing in his advantage, closely followed by JT Tammy in behind that one as well. Then Pierre Meyer, Stephen Miller, Adam Graham, Matty Overton down in 28th place. And I believe there's one more coming in behind that as well very, very shortly. Is there one more? Yes, there is. It's Brian Van Buscombe in that very animated anime liveried AMG. So looking forward to that one. Going to be an exciting one. Tom, tell us, what are we looking forward to today, mate? Are we going to have lovely, great racing, or is it going to be an utter chaotic fight?
I expect there to be chaos, given that there are championships on the line. If you're Dan Kirby, you just want to focus on getting off to a good start, and if he scampers off into the distance, just like he did last time out in Indy, I can't see how anyone's going to stop him. But I want to see a good strategy game of it, because that was essentially what won the race for Robin Molin at Austin, if you remember, because he did one stop less compared to what Kirby was able to do, and Vidalton him to the flag. So strategy is the only way, I think, that's going to prevent Kirby from winning again.
I like the fact you asked me if I remember. Tom, at 47, dude, I could barely remember to get my socks on in the morning, let alone blinking what goes on in the races that we broadcast on that one. But Dan Kirby, I do remember that, is going to lead the way and get this race under and up and running. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a spicy one, as these drivers now from the Hypercars lead the field there as well. You see 18 Hypercars behind that before we go into... There's that look at that. That's just meh for me. That's going to cause utter chaos. GT3's down in the bottom, ready to go once again. We're coming in now through the chicane in for turn 13 here as well. Ross, predictions. Tell me who's going to win really quickly.
I would be hard pressed to say so. It's a toss up between Molin and Kirby. I mean, if Sao Paulo and any or anything to go by, it's a total toss-up. You know, I just look forward to watching him race today.
So basically, Ross has got splinters in his bum because he's just sat on the fence for so long. Right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Round the final corner. Sorry, Ross, I've got a lot of antibiotics today. My nose is going. I've got a raging headache. That could represent quite a lot. Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. It is Dan Kirby heading down the track now, ready to go over the start line. Molin tucked in, ready to go. There's going to be a little bit of a power squirt coming. It's going to be seeing who can leave the other one for dead. Can Molin get the jump? Can Kirby get the jump? It's now officially, ladies and gentlemen, we are green, and Kirby shoots away like an absolute rocket, heading straight down into turn one, gets the lead, job done. Robert Molin, De Bruin in behind that as well. Barker alongside De Bruin as well. He's just tackled him once again as he goes and overtakes that second place. GT3's heading towards us as well. I think that was an X8 there. I got a funny feeling that might have been... Yeah, Calvis all along may have just had some drama. Elko Bussink is there in the GT3s alongside Reyes. They've just swapped places, actually. And I think Bussink has got the lead of the GT3s. He has in that one. There is Paulbert Reyes in behind in his Porsche, of course. Tom, everybody got away cleanly. Kirby, well, apart from everybody, there was Calvis who had a bit of drama. Kirby doing exactly what he needed to do, make the jump at the beginning.
Yep, only half a second clear there of Molin, so he's got some work to try and build up the gap in the early phase, because we're talking between 20 and 25 minutes for the Hypercars on the amount of fuel they are on before they do need to put in. It is a 1.5 hour event, so we expect at least 3 pit stops from the Hypercar drivers. Those that can be able to save more, well, that could come in handy. That could be the difference between making a 3rd pit stop or a 4th pit stop. There we see Timon Suvic, who has got Gutierrez for company, coming out the last corner before the 1.5 kilometre pit straight. And so far it's Dan Kirby, business as usual, leading the way over Robin Molin.
Yeah, Timon Suvic tucked in here as well. He's got Barker in front, but he has got Gutierrez pulling away. You can see the gaps to the leader. It's 5.3 seconds to the first of the Uyans. And you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner is the GT3s there. Elko Bussing got a great to the right-hand side, as I've just been corrected, because apparently I can't tell me right and left this evening. Elko Bussing is leading the way from Paulbert Reyes, with David Judd sitting in 3rd place and Alan Holden tucked in behind that as well. You can see the Mercedes of David Judd is going to give him some grief down in the turn one. Reyes pulls out. You ain't going to make that. That's a big old defense from Reyes as well. But the only fear I've got on that one, Ross, it wasn't a proactive defense. It was a reactive defense to that Mercedes behind. And if he keeps doing that, David Junt's going to take the most of him out of there.
Yeah, it was early on in the game here. So, I mean, they're all kind of knocking on each other's door, just kind of seeing what they can get away with. But I imagine that probably by the time they get about around halfway through the stint, the drivers who've managed to control their tire wear, their tire heat as much as possible, they're going to be the ones that are going to start to really press this field and control the pace.
Yeah, coming in here in the background, there's a dog that agrees with us here, up here in the booth as well. But it is at the moment Bussink leading the way with Paulbert Reyes. Reyes in this Porsche, Tom, doesn't filter away from it, doesn't change cars. He settles in that Porsche, absolutely loves it. Could the Porsche do well in Sector 3 here this evening?
You think so? I mean, with that horsepower deficit I think the Porsche has over its counterparts, it should help give Reyes the straight line speed he needs before they get to, by the time they get to turn 1. But I don't think Reyes is going to rush it too much. He's taking a wider line through the entry, which should give him a little bit of a high ground and a good slipstream effect all the way down this long pit straight of Fuji. There is an incident in Sector 1 in the Hypercars. I don't know what that was. And it might have been Alexander Schultz who's gone round at turn 1. We'll get more on that in a moment. But we'll stay with this GT3 battle as we see Reyes sending one to the inside of Bussink. And that was, well, it was a slam dunk in all honesty. I think from the moment that Bussink knew that Reyes was going to be alongside, it was not going to be a contest.
Is it worth Ross fighting this early? We've got an hour and 26 on the clock, mate. We've been going barely 4 minutes. Would you start fighting away at the front of the GT3 field when you know that Hypercars car's coming? Because they ain't going to be too far behind them. In fact, they're probably about, yeah, you're probably looking at a few corners in the background of them at the moment here, Ross, as well. So would you be fighting this earlier on, or would you just want the front of the GT3 field because you know the Hypercars are coming?
James, a 90-minute race, I don't think it's ever too early to fight. It's never too late to fight. you got to make sure that you're putting your stamp on this and getting in a good position. Now, depending on who you're up against and the level of fighting that you're doing, you know, that's a little bit more up for debate. If it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you, then you're probably better off to just not try and throw it in there and cause yourself any damage or extra tire wear doing so. But if you're in that 992 up there like Reyes is, then yeah, you're going to want to try and keep people behind you as much as you can. You know, have them use up their cars more than you are, especially with that the way the 992 is with that split balance, very similar to 296. You're going to see a pronounced shift in the way that car's balance is as it gets towards a halfway point, as it starts to lose fuel and lose some weight. So I think that he's kind of trying to hedge his bets a little bit and force those guys behind him, Bussink and Junt, to just really start to take each other on, use their stuff up, so that way he can kind of...
2 secs, Ross, 2 secs. He's going for it now as well. There we go. David Junt goes through on Bussink. It was a double Mercedes, and the Bussink's one was unfortunately left in third place there. And now you can see Alan Holden coming in behind him on that, with that Ferrari as well. Great job by David Junt. He's quick, Ross, and has he got the pace, do you reckon, to keep with Reyes, and that's why they're going to leave Bussink behind, you think?
That's a tough call. Junt's pretty fast, even with the Mercedes being just a little bit heavier than that 992. He's very fast in it. He's able to get a good balance, good drive out of the corner. For this track, I think it's going to suit the 992 a little bit more, so I think he's going to have to capitalize as much as he can early and see how much this hypercar traffic can come into play and Coates' advantage.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we've got to look forward to as well. Tire compound on the left-hand side. You can see medium, medium, medium. I think the first hard is Timon Suvik in 6th place in the hypercars at the moment. And Gutierrez, both of the hands on mediums as well. The interesting thing for me as well, Tom, I saw there as well on that split was a medium hard. Is it something that you would do?
I don't know, because whereabouts on the car are you putting the mediums and the hards on? Because if you put the softer compound on the front, that's going to give you more front end grip, which I think is paramount for this circuit. There's not too many slow corners which you need so much grip coming out of there. I think the only was, you just see that's Valentine De Bruyne nearly running into, I'll say he's been nearly run into by Suvik. That was Suvik is the first of those on the mean and the hard mix, if you want to call it that. But he just nearly ran into De Bruyne, which could have upset his strategy had that come off very, very badly. But there's only like 2 corners, possibly 3, where you need to think about rear tyre grip around this track.
Ross, where would you put them, mate? Would you have mediums on front, hards on rear?
It depends on the car. I think if you're in one of those all-wheel drive cars, you might actually be better putting them on the front just because those cars tend to scrub quite a bit more. And for a track like this, where you've got sort of those medium and slow hand corners, you kind of want to have that tire last throughout the race so you don't have to spend more time changing them in the pits. You can actually see there on, I think it's both Suvic and his teammate, they've got hards all the way around. But yeah, it all depends. I mean, you might end up putting them on the rears just to kind of, if you're more rear heavy, if you're finding that you're getting more drive out of the corner and you're putting more stress on the back end of the car, then that could work there. You might just go all the way around and see what you can if you've got a fairly good balance. But yeah, it's kind of one of the joys of this split field and having LMH cars with all-wheel drive mixed in there with LMDH cars where you just have the rear-wheel drive, you know. It creates all these different kinds of nuances and strategies where you see, like, you know, beginning of the section. It's that section that you're talking about coming into that corner with the hairpin.
I'm not a lover, Ross. I'm a fighter, and I don't like that corner at all. On that one. No, I understand what you're saying. While we were looking at that as well, you just saw Suvic go past De Bruyn on that one. So De Bruyn's going to be under attack from Gutierrez here as we go to a replay of a car of Concalves. This is coming down into turn one. You see him on the left-hand side, shooting it like an absolute rocket. Dude, you missed that by miles. God blimey. That was a send and a half there as well. He didn't come by the post office, he came by FedEx. It was that far away on that one for Concalves. But going to be interesting how this is going to play out, Tom. I would be interested as well, Mr. Director, if we can go down to Bussink, Holden and Tammy. They're having a right little ding-dong down in the GT3 Pros, please. That would be absolutely amazing. There you go. As these guys are going to continue to fight. Why these are fighting, no, Tom, in the GT3s. Jint and Ray is opening up the door a little bit.
Oh, you just see that was, who was that was just nearly running? Was that Holden nearly running into the back of Bussink there? That was so close. We saw that with Gutierrez on the previous lap in the Hypercars, how so far close he came to running into the rear of Wouter De Bruyn, and it looked like Holden nearly did exactly the same thing on Bussink there. Luckily got the car slowed down and made the corner, but that could have been a rather interesting development, and that could have caused a concertina, because you could just see there's the likes of JT Tammy, who is the leader, the championship leader in the GT3 Pros. Here is a replay, and this is a replay, that's number 52, locking up and actually gets rear-ended by, I think that's one of the Porsches that's just run into him.
Concalves just absolutely hit him, yeah.
Dive claims everywhere.
Yeah, poor old Stroll. He's had a bit of a rough time, Ross, hasn't he? The last couple of races, mate. He's been a little bit in the wars.
Yeah, I mean, he's overall, I'd say that he's definitely been improving. You go back to Sao Paulo when he was right in that big hypercar AM fight through most of the first part of that race. You know, it was great seeing him and his teammate Guilherme Bank. They were all having a great time and for the most part doing pretty well. But yeah, unfortunately, that one just caught him out right in that corner in that hairpin at turn 10, like you're talking about. He was just a little bit past his breaking point and went in, and poor Concalves was just nowhere to go.
Yeah, we're going to look at another replay now as well. This is.
Oh!
Yeah, Schultz there as well. I believe there may have been contact. I do wonder if is that Jerry Chen or George in behind him? I can't really see who that was in the background there. As JT Tammy is coming up in that Aston Martin. He's going to have a go at Alan Holden in the Ferrari as well. A couple of drivers sticking with their cars here. JT Tammy in the Aston Martin, Holden in the Ferrari, Paul Barrez in that Porsche. Then we've got Jun and Bussink in the Mercedes. So it's good to see we've got all manufacturers across the board here. Hypercars getting a little bit spread out, apart from De Bruyn and the two Uyans are having a nice little battle down in 7th, 8th and 9th at the moment here, Tom. Is it imperative for the drivers to stay close together, do we think, Tom, as we start maybe thinking about pit stops?
Yeah, well, you want to try and stay in that slipstream effect because it's less taking life out of the tyres lap by lap by lap. And you can just see that JT Tammy pulled out of the slipstream there just so that he got out of the dirty air. But I suppose that kind of counters my point that you don't want to be too close because then you get stuck in that turbulent air. You can just see the hypercars just making their way through the GT3s. And this is a replay of This is Stephen Miller in the GT3 AMS. Pete Simone and Adam Gray possibly. They're all going off at Coca-Cola, I have to say. It's almost like they were saying after you, after you, after you.
Yeah, these guys having a bit of a rough one as well. You can see these hypercars starting coming through the GT3 field. Will de Bruin there. He's got Stephen Miller in front of him, will be his next one. So Vuta done a good job. That is a Lexus on the left-hand side there as well. And he's making it stay right out of the way at the moment, Ross, which is good management of backmarker traffic.
Yeah, Mayor, we saw him. He kind of had that issue before when he was up here fighting with Stephen Miller. Yeah, this is exactly the section that Sector 3, going up through the S's, and Bruin just giving him what for, holding him back. And I thought it was interesting from the start, the rookie monsters, after they made the switch to the Aston Martin Valkyrie, they've been able to definitely put some work in, and we've seen the CMS Pro Blue team start to kind of slip back, and oh wow, they're actually getting caught up there in some of that. And that turn is also very tricky because you have that crossover point. One of the Bice brothers is off there. Matthew going around in the background there. But yeah, as far as these teams here, you basically have the rookie monsters. They've made the switch, and they're starting to actually put it to the CMS Pro Red team with Kirby and Barker, with Mulling up there now doing a lot of work. But then you've also got Dahlgren and Subic there in their Toyotas, and they've been showing up. So I think that they're actually starting to figure out this car and put some pressure on those.
There's an incident behind. Can we go to De Bruin and Uyan really quickly, please, Mr. Director? Because they have just swapped places about 4 or 5 times. There was also an incident in the corner. I think that's Alan Holden, isn't it? And I don't know how much drama was caused here with these guys, but Uyan in that as well. We'll have a look back. I think John Uyan and Wouter De Bruin were side by side and scrapping places. We've also got Troy in behind that one at the same time. So there was a lot of things. I just wondered whether or not they missed Holden, or how did that cause as well on that one. But here we go. I think this is a replay of Alan Holden coming through turn. Where is he at the moment? He's on his run through into the left-hander of the hairpin, isn't it? He's up at turn 6 and 7.
That's Coca-Cola's just going through.
And coming down now as well, and I think he has some drama here, which is there we go, just the back end of that Ferrari. Watch, there's the first set of cars coming through. No, he does. Okay, he clears out the way before the Bruin race comes through. Tom, action so far, which is what we expected. A lot more fighting than I think I predicted. I don't know if I was part of this, whether or not I'd be fighting this early on, but then again, I'm rubbish at driving, so that could explain it. But these guys having a right little battle here, and it seems to focus at the moment. De Bruin and the two Uyans, they're kind of holding each other up, not really going to be able to catch up with 6th place Gutierrez.
Yeah, it feels that way, but there's still a lot of time for the strategy element to kick in. Just see JT Temi, I think that is, just getting out of the way of the hypercars that are coming through. There goes the Uyans and Wouter De Bruin. We're going to see another replay of a particular incident involving that's Matthew Bice. He's going to get hit. Mike Bice, that's the other Bice in the field. He was just going through on Holden at the last corner, and he just went too deep. He was lucky not to be collected by Holden as he rejoined, actually.
If I remember correctly, Matthew did exactly the same thing a lap ago, Ross.
He did, yeah. We were just watching that. Yeah, well, they're sharing strategy.
Hey, maybe he's told him there's a faster line out on the grass. I don't know. As we can see, these guys having a good old little scrap there as well. Gilles Lalonde in that 9X8 does go through at this moment, so well done for Gilles. Gets the overtake done as well. Bruno's in YouTube chat. Go Calvis, he says. All right, mate. As Wouter De Bruin is unfortunately going backwards a lot faster than he is going forwards, and he's just about to lose. That's going to come together right now. Anyway, as it's sorry, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the one I was thinking about, Mr. Producer, as you just finished the line off in my hero. What's going on here then? What do we think, Tom, is happening at the moment? Because for poor old Wouter De Bruin, he's going backwards faster than he's going forwards.
Yeah, it feels like he's lost his edge from what he had at the start. There's another incident over at Sector 1 that's gone away very briefly, but Timon Sivik is on the tail of that Cadillac of Cameron Barker coming out of Dunlop. He feels a little bit feisty now, is Timon Sivik. Second place last time at Indianapolis, and he get himself another podium and come closer to maybe finishing second place in the championship. He's not going to win the title this season, but a good end to the campaign with Road Atlanta Sakir still to go to. Shola Lund has apparently been involved in an incident. This is over at Dunlop Corner. He's got by one of the GT3s.
Way too fast, bro. Look at that.
Way too fast. Way too fast.
It's that.
Oh, bad.
Dude. Naughty. I know that song as well. But literally, Rob, that was a bit of a drama. He went in way too fast, and that rejoin, there's got to be questions, right?
It's sloppy, yeah. I mean, he knows better than that. I think he probably thought he had more space than what he actually did, but those cars were right there, so it's sloppy. Fortunately, nobody was really hurt too badly on that one, but he's gonna have to be careful. You know, it's he's gonna get more than a slap on the wrist if he keeps that up.
Yeah, absolutely on that one. A little bit of another zero IQ moment as we look at Robert Moling here. He's in behind. We've got Suvik in fifth place. Wout de Bruin down in ninth at the moment. Unfortunately, that car seems to be in reverse than it does going in first gear. And then we've got Barker, who is in third, under attack from these guys as well. So we're going to keep an eye and see how they get on here. As you can see, Suvik at the moment, though, Tom, is he sitting in prime position watching these two in front? Because he could get a nice little double draft as we go to another replay of Mr. Stephen Miller. He does not like this left-hander whatsoever for Mr. Miller. He couldn't even buy a driver's line even if it was there. And unfortunately, he's got off again, Tom.
It's gone off way too much speed for Stephen Miller at the Coca-Cola corner. And whilst you were mentioning Robin Molan, he's just allowed Suvik through. He was overtaken by Barker about a lap or two ago since the last time we saw this battle between Molan and Barker, or it might have been Suvik and Barker thinking of it, but they're now up a position each since that battle of which we saw of them. Molan down to fifth place. I don't know if there's been any team orders or whatever, or he just feels that, you know, there's no point holding this guy up. I'm just going to have to let him go and run my own race. Could it be that he's running a little bit more fuel than his counterparts?
Well, that's a question for you, Mr. Smith, isn't it?
Honestly, I'm thinking of like rolling around a few things in my head on this one. With the with the Valkyries, interesting point. They actually have the movable wing element on the front. So for this track, in my mind, I'm thinking that they have the potential to make a very strong car with the setup. But if they've done anything to compromise, that's a bad touch. That's a bad touch. I think that was Mayer. And he's gone around. I like how that one panned out, but yeah, that was
not Angelides, is it? I think that was Meyer in behind that.
Yeah, John Meyer.
Yeah,
he was fighting with one of the Bice brothers there.
Well, I think literally they got their gloves on, Ross, and started, hitting each other.
Well, they were going back and forth real strong at Sao Paulo. I keep going back to that race just because it stood out in my mind as such a great event as they were going through. Very similar characteristics as to here. We've watched this. Yeah, he managed to, as we go around this large carousel corner, he took advantage of Bice's sliding out and got a little bit up the inside. Second watch, I don't think he was trying to take him out. Wow, too much speed through there.
Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Yeah.
It's a little bit sloppy. I'm sure Mike's going to be coming off of that one. Probably a little bit injured. Hopefully not too badly. But he's running first right now, so can't be too badly hurt.
No, I'm a little bit surprised about that because, when you thump a ball that way, it generally should break a car. But, a little bit tough.
Glance on it. I think he hit it just the right way. He managed to kind of keep from digging in.
Just the right way. Ross is like me running out a wall and only with my head first and then saying, oh yeah, I only hit it on my forehead. I don't even know if there is a right way, fella.
Well, I'm sure if you've done enough times, you've learned to do glancing blows as to not cause concussions or any breakaways.
I think that was a full-on smack in the face, Ross, to be blatantly honest. But, you know, hey, we'll go with the glancing blow. Clearly, you guys have a different, you know, a description of what is a hit and what isn't. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen. Seawolves in YouTube chat. Go, Alan Holden. All I had in my head was go, Gadget. Can't be blatantly honest. As Cameron Barker is having a nice little battle here, Tom, with Timon Suvic sitting in third and fourth.
Yeah, and that, I have to say that, not the Cadillac, the one behind it, looks like he's got tremendous pace on the pit straight, and he fancies to go there. And that's partly why Dan Kirby's not being able to scamper off into the distance like we saw of him at Indianapolis last time out. The Toyota is what I was going to say rather than the Cadillac. The Toyota seems to have more tremendous straight line speed on the pit straight, not because it's in Japan. Obviously, it's a home round for Toyota. Just see that Stephen Miller getting in the way of the hypercars a little bit there, and thankfully stays out of Molin's way, so they can all get on with their own race. But this is the point of the race. He just saw Molin nearly collecting Suva there as he went over the curb. That could have been rather disastrous for both of which. But Barker, you have to say, won't be sitting too comfortably at this point.
Yeah, I think Barker's going to be under a lot of pressure here as well, with Dan Kirby's pulling away from Magnus Dahlgren. It's great to see Magnus up in that front two battle as well. Reyes and Yunt having a nice little ding-dong. And down there further is down in the LMGT3 AMS is Gray and McQuarrie. They're having a nice little bit of a fight. Barker's in pit lane, which is, I would get surprised, but they are generally in that cycle, so it depends on what Barker's going to get himself up to here as well. But the McQuarrie Gray battle down in GT3 AM is a nice little raging battle at the moment. Reyes and Jun, as you can see them guys on your screen now. There's also a battle on the right-hand side as well. That is Cameron Barker. There's George Angelides. He's having a fight with Mike Bice. Oh, dearie me. Where are they going? Oh, Mike, come back. Yeah, I think that there's got to be rules kicking here, Ross, and he overtake off a circuit.
Well, I
wonder if there's been a collision between the pair of them.
Yeah, Tommy, you might be right on that. They might have come together, or George was just thrown off by what was happening with Bice, and just kind of overdrove that corner himself at the same time. And, it was just full avoidance mode at that point.
Yeah, we'll have a look back and see if we can find anything on there as well. Poor old George having a bit of a rough time in that HRC Acura ARX. On your screen at the moment is this first little bit of what went on between Mr. Bice and Mr. Angelides. And you can see Bice drifts out again, but he does leave that door open. Angelides puts his nose up on the inside line, and he's going to come and try and go around. Oh, I don't know if you really want to be doing that, but there's one, there's the other, and then there's a big old slide there. Yeah. Is that practice, Ross? What is that? What is that due to?
So when you're going through the S's there on those last few corners, you're running kind of different lines, especially depending on if you're a hypercar, GT, whatnot, depending on tire wear. So it's George is already going to be swinging out wide, and I think that he was starting to see Bice have some struggles, and that created some uncertainty. You saw how far off from the apex he was. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more drivers kind of getting into those sorts of lines. But sounds like Kirby's in the pits at this point, so he's going to be giving up the lead, and we're going to be seeing a lot of these cycles go through.
Yeah, Magnus Dahlgren taking up the lead there as well with Molin. Schultz got a penalty for speeding in pit lane, unfortunately. So, he's going to have to cop that one. Reyes and Shunt now. Gray and McQuarrie, they are literally there. If you look on the right-hand side now, you'll see a black Lexus as Dan Kirby comes out pit lane. He's going to be in fourth place at this moment ahead of Suvic. Now, just to the left of that is that AM battle. There's one of them, and there's the other one in behind. So the AMs are having a nice little bit of a ding-dong, as there's Matty Bice there as well. And it's all getting a little bit congested there, Tom, in that area going around the final corner.
And it's compounded by Holden going into the barrier. That might be the point where he decides to head for the pit lane, as will Magnus Dahlgren. He's committed to the pit entry line, and we're going to see some pit lane activity here. So he's in, and I think Dahlgren has made his way in as well. So both of the SKS Motorsport Toyota cars have come into pit road. So will we see Wouter de Bruyne come in, or is he heading for the pit lane? If he does come in, then Kirby will take back the lead of the race. At least we can say, James, that Molin and Dahlgren stayed out a lot longer compared to Dan Kirby, and if they can stretch out the stint by another lap, it could make the difference in how many stops they have to do compared to Dan Kirby.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting one here as well. Ross, in realism, right, would you worry trying to eliminate a stop that you know if you just go full flat that everybody's going to take? I don't know. We said 2 to 4. They've got in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. They're going to have to do another one and probably one after that. Is it worth trying to eliminate that third stop, or should you just like go full bore for it? It's Peter Meyer and McQuarrie. Meyer in that Lexus. I don't think that is McQuarrie. That's Graham behind. No, he just got it all wrong there as well. So take care, son. They both did. What do they do? Follow me leader. They both don't. See, I told you they don't like the chicane, Ross.
It still has to take it, though. I mean, that was, I think that was just, it's one of those things, especially as the tires, where you're going to start seeing a lot of these overextensions. But yeah, going back to your question regarding the fuel strategy, as Tom was talking about it, it made me think back to Coda, where obviously we saw Mulling, he was able to work the fuel strategy. He was able to stretch it out, and he just stayed ahead of Kirby when it came to the very end of it. I think he might be playing for a similar strategy here. In and amongst all of that, I just took a peek at the weather, and it's supposed to have a much higher chance of rain over the next probably 30 to 60 minutes. So that's going to spike up. But we are at Fuji, and the weather is extremely fickle here. So maybe there is no rain. Maybe it just thinks about it. Or maybe we might start to see a downpour just all of a sudden. So you might want to keep watching the skies as a lot of these different fuel strategies start playing out.
Well, I'm looking forward to a deluge and a hurricane and a tornado sweeping across the circuit, Ross. What do you reckon? Can we get it?
Well, like I said, it's Fuji, so I think anything's possible. But I'm sure a lot of these drivers right now, they're just praying, maybe not the all-wheel drive cars, maybe some of those 9X8s. They might be asking for a little bit of rain to help give them an advantage here. But everyone else, I feel like at this point, is probably just blowing as hard as they can at the sky to keep those clouds away.
No, let it rain, sweet cheeks, let it rain. That's what I say here as well. As Subic still sitting in 4th place at the moment. He's having a battle with Barker on that one. Kirby Cohen sitting in 2nd place. The Bruins should be going in very, very shortly here as well. So that's going to be an interesting one. There's back. Hello, mate. Now is team on changing tyres going well for hards? Yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the hard tyres, as we know, are quicker, are more durable. So Vu's going in pit lane now as well. So it's going to be where Kirby is. Kirby's only 19 seconds, so Kirby's going to take the lead. The question will be how far ahead. The hards are more durable, Ross. Softs give you better grip. Mediums in the middle. Where are you sitting on the fence at the moment?
It goes back to my earlier comment. It's really going to depend on the car and just what you're running. I think with all-wheel drive, I'm seeing a couple of them doing the split where they're running hards on the front, and I think that might be my strategy, just knowing how those cars are. But I would probably end up being in a rear-wheel drive car here, and I think I would just opt for mediums and give me that grip. I think I'm going to try and play some of the fuel strategy, especially with rain threatening. I want to try and extend my stints as long as I can, so I have the option coming in if I need to.
Well, there you go. Tom, what do you think? What will you be doing at this point of the race? One pit stop in. Are you going to worry? Are you going to try and eliminate that next one?
You've got to try and stretch it out as much as possible. I mean, Valtteri Bottas did very well to extend that first stint, so that could save him a pit stop later on. And factoring in that it could rain, it's essentially a microclimate because it's situated in the mountains of Fuji. But I'm really looking forward to see if Valtteri Bottas can just continue that trend of extending the second stint. So that he gives himself not only fresh tyres, but just it makes a game of it with Dan Kirby. Because, like I say, Kirby is not running away with it. You can see the front headlights being turned on by Simon Subic. So I wonder if the skies are beginning to darken here with the clouds hovering over.
Yeah, well, let's hope, Ross. They've all got their red light button on, eh? Don't want to see no more DQs, mate.
We saw that happen to Stephen Miller after he had a fairly decent race at Indianapolis on Thursday. So, yeah, everybody's got to be very sharp. Make sure you don't accidentally turn them off if you have auto headlights turned on, because unfortunately with our Factor 2, as many of us veterans are well aware, that's an instant death sentence, almost seemingly, if you manage to turn them off when you're not supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Another word, gentlemen, everybody at home, we use veterans as well. That's just another word for old people. Okay, so don't panic about that one if you didn't have the understanding of what that meant. Dan Kirby still out in front, Barker, Suvic there as well, Molin, Dahlgren, Gutierrez, Uyan, De Bruin. Then in the Hypercar Rams, it's Manny Bice is in it in front. Yes, it is. And then John Mayer, George Angelides in behind out, and Concalves, and then Mike Bice with Monet and Struhl. Struhl still not having the greatest of races, but hey, improvements, pigeon steps, one step at a time. Reyes still out in front in the GT3 Pros with Jean closing in and around him. Bussink is down in third. He's got JT Tammy not far behind, and Van Buscum has managed to fight his way up into fifth. Interesting down in the GT3 AMS, that battle was literally 0.5 of a second. It's now gone out to 5.5 seconds for McQuarrie, Meyer, and Miller's 18 seconds back as well. Paul Reyes in pit lane, Gray sitting in fourth at the moment. This is going to be an interesting one, I think, Tom, that we're going to have to keep an eye on here, because some of these championship battles are very, very close, and at the end of the day, you don't want to be losing positions as quickly as some of these have.
Yeah, and obviously with these pit stops happening as they are now, it's going to make track position a little bit more tricky as Timo Suvic is coming into pit lane. Hasn't he already pitted? Because it feels to me like he's already pitted once in this race, and he's coming in again.
I do wonder, is that a penalty, do we think, Mr. Smith?
I know one of them got a penalty earlier, I heard Paul saying, but he's saying that that was not the one, so this is a bit bizarre. I'm not sure, maybe he didn't fill up all the way.
Do we think he's... well, at the moment he ain't stopping, so he is a drive-through.
Yeah, it's a drive-through.
What for?
Either track extensions, or maybe it was a speeding penalty from before. I mean, that would have been the absolute last lap you could serve it on, I would think, because that was, I mean, they took their stops not that long ago.
Interesting one there, Tom. We're going to have to try and work out some deciphering on that one. Can we go to the Molin, Dahlgren, Gutierrez battle, please? As they're literally a second between all three of them and are getting very, very close together, Mr. Producer, sir. Love you always. And there we go. As if by magic, he's heard me and he's put it on the screen. Nice little battle, though, Tom, going on the screen at the moment. You see David Jean in there in that GT3.
Yep, and we've just been informed that Suvic did have a drive-through penalty for speeding in the penalty. It was a few laps since he pitted in, but now we can see this battle here between Molin and Dahlgren on the pit straight. Now they just need to be careful about going through the pit entry line there, but I think they'll be all right on this time around because they are battling for position. But down the pit straight they come between Molin, Dahlgren and Gutierrez. Can Gutierrez say 2-1 going to the right on the pair with them? And Gutierrez might have just got through to third place if he gets the car slowed down. Now he's going to run into the side of Molin, and that allows... no, so that was Dahlgren he ran into, and Molin gets back into P3. Gutierrez, I thought was going to slingshot his way past, but he just couldn't get the car slowed down, Ross.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. I'm sorry to kind of cut you off. That you almost saw that coming just with how aggressive Johnny had pulled off to the inside to try and get that move done. But I think both of them were almost playing chicken going into turn one, and unfortunately both of them lost, and Molin said thank you very much and moved right back up to third.
Yeah, great move from them guys. Lovely fight as well there. Unfortunately for Gutierrez, needs to get on the brakes a little bit earlier, please, dear sir. Zalko Busick is sitting in second in that GT3, of course. Ray's been in pit lane. We're going to find out what David Jean could do in fresh air here as well. Can he go and open up a nice little bit of a tasty gap back to Reyes? At the moment he's got 31 seconds, I think, give or take, here at this moment in time. So we'll keep an eye on and see how David Jean gets on. We're all getting a little bit muddled up here, Ross. Are your nerves going? Or you realise you've only got 50 minutes to go? What do we think here? Some of these drivers, could tiredness kick in? Are they making silly mistakes? Are they getting too excited? And that's why we've seen Gutierrez just come like an absolute banshee.
Well, it's a little bit early for them to have fatigue necessarily coming in. Although this is, it's certainly not an easy course by any means. It's you're working the whole time. But I think at this point, yeah, it's just Some frustrations, some of the stuff that they're working with, the car's starting to move away from them as they're starting to wear their tires down and everything. They're just really starting to dig in and seeing like, okay, we got an hour to go, so if I'm going to make anything happen here, I got to make sure that I'm getting on it now. So you're going to see some of these AM fights. Wow, it's just really mixing up. I am pleased to see that the Bice brothers are really starting to finally turn up with those Toyotas. They've been trying to get them nailed down all season long. It seemed like they were always on the back foot. Now, I think they might finally have them dialed in where they can actually start performing with them the way that they wanted to this whole time.
All right, boss. I'm going to be blatantly honest here now, and I don't know why I, saying it like you expect anything else to be blatantly honest with me. We're very late in the season here. Do we think generally, the Bices should have got them a little bit dialed in a little bit sooner? Do we think?
Well, keep in mind they have been running GTs.
Hey, look, Ross. I'm sitting here with you as well, mate. I'm not defending that they didn't run GTs. I'm sorry to cut you off there because I've heard this story. What I'm saying is, do we think they should have dialed in a little bit earlier on if they've been practicing as much as I'm sure they probably have?
When you're so used to a certain type of format and layout for the way you're doing it, jumping into hypercar and dealing with the setup complexity of that machinery is a huge step. And coming to grips with it, particularly the Toyota, that car, just talking with a couple of the drivers who really dealt with it, it is an absolute beast to try and get going. It's all-wheel drive. It's got a lot of peculiar bits to it, and you have to do it for every single track. Benjamin Porteous Heath, I know he's been instrumental in trying to get that car really set up for the entire season, so that way it feels more balanced. And he's very close to Toyota, huge Gazoo fan. So, he said a lot of comments about it in a way that it's very tricky to get going. So I would say, the Bice brothers had a lot of work in front of them. When you think about any kind of development program, like the actual Aston Martin team, they're basically going through the first true season this year, and they're fighting with a lot of things. It's a very similar kind of thing. There's a big learning curve. It's pretty steep. So I would say, it would have been better if they could have gotten a little bit sooner. Maybe they just didn't have enough opportunity to get in there and get quite as much testing practice in. But I would say that, they're about right on pace of where I might expect them, given the challenges that they have to deal with. But it's great to see them finally getting there and actually putting up a good show.
Yeah, fair play to them. I think I'm probably just being a little bit harsh, to be blatantly honest with you. But there we go. As Gutierrez is having a nice little battle with Robin Molan down into turn one at this current moment. Molan not quite being able to get through here currently, and he's going to have to try again, Tom, as he nestles in behind him.
A lap ago, we just saw Molan put a wheel on the grass, hence why Gutierrez got ahead of him, and nearly running into the back of one of the WEC Monsters cars. You couldn't tell whether it was John Mayer or Jerry Chen, but I think it was Mayer, which they went by the Dunlop chicane. But thankfully, both Gutierrez and Molan survived on that occasion. You can see the gap going down between Kirby and Barker. It's now just under 2 seconds. Barker coming at a rate of knots, but it's his teammates. So both Cadillacs 1 and 2. They're the ones that are dominating as we speak. And Barker, you see, getting the gap down. I wonder if Kirby's getting stuck in traffic, or whether he's getting ready for a pit stop.
Or is he doing his fabulous fuel saving, Mr. Smith? What do we reckon?
It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. Oh, wow. What was that? Not sure what that was all about. But yeah, I would say that I think there's definitely going to be some fuel saving going on here. Kerber and Barker. Kirby and Barker.
Who are they, Ross? Have we just mixed up two drivers that created a love child?
They're definitely a Hollywood couple,
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, missed that one. Hey, Kirby. All right. You wait. I'll let him know that in the interview.
Yeah, they've always been ones to kind of conserve a little bit, but I keep flitting back to what I've been seeing happen with the Valkyrie, and I just wonder a little bit there for that team if they're they're leaning back a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Moline and even De Bruyn, for as much as he was kind of falling off the ladder early on in the race, I would say, don't count him out, even though he is quite a bit further back. He's probably about half a lap away from the leaders at this point. But They all have a chance here. And then, you know, Suvik and Dahlgren, I mean, Suvik is obviously on the back foot now since he had to do that drive-through, but I think that they also have a chance if they've managed to keep their cars kind of, you know, on the bubble for this.
Yeah, we're going to find out here, Tom, how these guys get on this one. Give us a rundown at the moment. Tom, we've got the GT3s, Meyer and McQuarrie, having a nice little ding-dong on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, and these two dicing out in the championship standings with a few rounds to go, and this is probably the closest battle we've got all race, actually, out of all the classes. Meyer going defensive, heading into Dunlop ahead of McQuarrie, who's going to try and go to the outside. I almost thought that Meyer was going to drop it a little bit there, riding that curb. And you can just see McQuarrie taking a lot different of a line in the final part of the lap. But we're going to see whether he actually goes for it there. He holds back for now. Barker's dropped back from Kirby as we speak in the Hypercar Pros. In the Hypercar AMS, it is Boyce in the number 99 that is leading away. Matt Boyce, that is, who's leading. And then in second place behind him, that would be John Mayer, who's on a number 23 seconds. We've got more pit stops happening in the LMGT3. We've got Basink and the 197, who's also made his way into pit road. That is Van Boosekom, who is making its way in. I think that is the first stop of the race, James, these LMGT3s, because obviously because they're slower cars, they don't consume the fuel as quickly. But yeah, we're heading towards the halfway point, and it looks to be like the Cadillacs are, well, I don't want to say they're running away from it, because they're only like a half a dozen seconds clear over Dahlgren and Gutierrez. I still feel it's game on for the win overall.
We just lost James, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you come in on this then. So far,
Yeah.
So has there been any like surprise to you from what you maybe had predicted before the race had begun?
You know, this is it is an interesting mix. You know, as we've gone through this last cycle of pit stops, I kind of anticipated Kirby and Barker would be up there, but certainly from the outset, it hadn't always seemed that way, and just the exchanges have been just unusual, I guess you could say. I wasn't expecting a lot of them to be kind of rounded up in there. Kind of was expecting to see something out of the long where you just be flying through a corner, but other than some of those, you know, it's there's just been a lot of passing around of positions more than I would have thought. I kind of expected there to be more of a sort of steady, ongoing race as, you know, the different cars, strengths and weaknesses, they just kind of spread out and maybe start to reporting back as balance shifted. But this has been a bit more chaotic than I would have thought, and it's kind of the same thing down in the GTs. You know, they've just sort of been all over the place. I mean, they're certainly spreading out quite a bit more than what we're seeing in the hypercars. Seeing Tammy coming up through there, I was not anticipating him coming up quite as quickly as he would, because Busink, I really thought he was going to have that AMG nailed down, but he's starting to backslide just a little bit himself.
So we've reached the halfway point in this 90 minutes of Fuji, round 11 of the VWSC Modern 2025 Championship. Hope you are enjoying the action so far, whilst we are waiting for James to make his return. But Peter Meyer, as you can see in your picture, holding off Alexander McQuarrie in the LMGT3 AM battle. Stephen Miller and Adam Gray are a long way back from these two, so it looks like victory in this class is going to be between Meyer and McQuarrie this time around. There is Mike Boyce, who runs too deep at turn 1, gets the car back on the racetrack without too many issues. That's the 98 you can see. The 99 is Matthew Boyce, who is leading by 21.5 seconds. And we've just seen a change for the lead. Cameron Barker's got by Dan Kirby for the lead. I don't know if there's been a mix-up between back markers for Kirby and whoever it was he was trying to get by. It might have been Jules Lalonde that got in the way of Kirby, but now he's lost the lead to his teammate Cameron Barker, but he's still within touch to try and get back the lead. Barker needs to be on his toes here. Does he actually allow him? He's actually allowed him back through, Ross.
Yeah, for sure he did. Yeah, that would look like they were having a little bit of a chat there to just get him back by, so that way there wouldn't be any complications. You saw him take that really long, wide line around those, that dog leg section. But yeah, I think there might have been a contact there. We can call him in the background here, so we'll see exactly what happened there. Hopefully no damage done.
This will have been over at turn 1, or maybe later on in the That's this is the incident we are seeing now, involving the Cadillac. Well, that's Barker behind Kirby. So that's Barker in the 79, and I think he had to dodge out the way of Kirby. I think he got held up by the fellow hypercar. I couldn't tell who that was from that angle, but either way, that momentarily, or temporarily I should say, cost Kirby the lead. And I think you are right, Ross. I think there's been some communication between Barker and Kirby to allow Kirby back into the lead, but all of this has allowed Dahlgren, Gutierrez and Molin to join in the party. The gap between the top 5 is just over 6 seconds.
That's actually a pretty good spread right now. So it's wild seeing them all come back together there. That might have been Lalonde, although both Lalonde and his teammate Gutierrez are now all up in there. I was trying to look for if that actually no, that was that might have been you can call this. Yep, there it is. So yeah, he's passing up through there. Now we have a bit of AM in the way here in the form of Mike Bice. He's now holding up. Just don't call this.
It was Gutierrez got held up by Bice at the double chicane. It was a very inconvenient spot for Gutierrez to get caught up at. But we are going to see a replay of the incident at turn 1. I think it was Goncalves who was involved in this. That is Matthew Bice who was involved in the collision here. So Bice goes deep, and actually it's a half spin for Goncalves in the 48 that made Kirby had to slam on the brakes, and that allowed Barker through for about half a lap. But thanks to that collision, the gap has shrunk, involving the top 5 in the Hypercar Pro class.
Bit of action going on there, Mr. Smith, isn't it? Eh? Lots of little bit of ding-dongs happening between Kirby and Barker at this moment in time, with Dahlgren tucked in behind him.
Yeah, coming back from your nap, we just...
Pay attention to the chat, Mr. Smith. Pay attention to the chat. 40 minutes to go.
But yeah, hopefully there wasn't any damage there to Kirby as he was going in there. It looked like it was a pretty low-speed impact, so I'm going to kind of doubt it, but you just never know. I mean, for some of these, there can be pretty unassuming collisions, and they can end up being pretty detrimental to a race performance. So I guess we'll find out here as we go through. That's right up the inside. Wow, Rolling I don't think he was expecting Bice to slow down quite as much as he did there.
I think we got Hypercars being in front of Hypercars being lapped down at this moment in time there, Tom. We talked about rain earlier on. I'm a little bit thinking we might not get in here. The sun's out at the moment. Track temperature's near on 30 odd degrees. Doesn't look like we've got rain on the horizon there, Tom.
It doesn't feel like it, but the drivers seem to be happy with the conditions as they are. The sun feels like it's in a different place compared to where it was before the race had started. Magnus Dahlgren on the tail of Cameron Barker for second place. There's no way he's going to get through at turn 1 this time around. So we'll see what Dahlgren decides to do. There is the second round of pit stops involving the Hypercars. Now, if you remember, they came in around about 25 minutes into this one, so around about 1 hour and 5 minutes to go in the event. This is an opportunity for Dahlgren to possibly, and I do use the word possibly, go for an undercut on Barker and Kirby.
Ross, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Tom's right. I think that he's definitely in a position where he could pull that off. He's being kind of aggressive right now. I think that because I don't know if he did take tires. I'd have to go back and look. But oh wow, yeah, very strong throw up the inside. That's gonna, yeah, that was Struhal.
Yeah, Struhal's had some drama. A little bit of carbon there as well, and probably let's not compound that young man's misery anymore, Mr. Producer, please. He's had a bit of a rough one there as well. Carl Struhal getting a little bit flustered and flummoxed as David Junt, JT Tammy and Reyes have got Hypercars coming through as well. Magnus Dahlgren sitting in third with Barker. That's Holden out on the grass doing his own little bit of rule mowing. See down in the bottom right hand corner, that is Reyes and Tammy. They're going in together here. Oh, they don't. Oh, he continues on there once more. Little bit of a fake from Magnus Dahlgren, Tom, and he carries on for another lap.
Is that within the rules? I know he was only getting the tail off the Cadillac ahead, but he looked like he was committed to enter in the pit lane was Magnus Dahlgren. So
Ross?
I wonder if there may be something reviewed on that.
I'll be honest, I just missed that exchange because I was going back through and trying to look at where JT was. But if you've the entries are if you've taken the line, if you've kind of demonstrated where you're going, then you kind of have rights to it. But obviously, if you're going to create any kind of issue or you cause a collision through any action of your own, then yeah, that can come back and get you. But I mean, it's always tricky coming through there because it's such a fast part of the track. You're building up to maximum speed. It's one of the fastest parts there. So you got to be very careful. You got to have your eyes on the stocks as you're going in and pay attention to who's doing what. It's a great battle going on with Reyes and JT Tammy, who I don't know if they have much of a chance of being able to chase down David Young at this point because he is just well up the road. He's 18 seconds.
I'm a little bit confused by that gap at the moment as well. Due to the fact there, Ross, is that pit stop difference between Tammy? Surely he weren't, where did that come from? Because he wasn't out that far in front before David shouldn't. Like, I know he's quicker than Mercedes, but blimey, that's like Superman pace, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty quick. Now I'm looking at it and it looks like they all have one stop accredited to them, so they should be all in the same pit cycle at this point. But yeah, that's massive. The only other thing I could think of would be if maybe David didn't go for tires, or if maybe there was just like some severe traffic. Because like I said before, he can be very quick in that car, and if he's just been having a really great race while his competitors have had to deal with stuff, then that could be attributing to it. Unfortunately, I've sort of had my attention elsewhere by the time I looked up and saw that he was 20 seconds out. So this is a great battle right here between these two Vantages and the Porsche 1 and 2. So interesting to see how these two compare. We saw on Thursday at Indianapolis, which has some similar flow to it. It was a great battle between Paula Evertson and I think it was Ryan Culver Reyes there as well. But
yeah.
It was a great battle all the way through to the end, so we'll see if we've got very similar makings to this one here.
Do you know, for me on that one, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think Paulbert Reyes thought about it and then he realised there's a hypercar coming out of pit lane. And if he goes and hits him, well, it's going to be a little bit dramatic there as well. Tom, on that one, what do we think? Porsche overcoming the Aston Martin, but all of a sudden the AMG Mercedes has transported himself 18 seconds down the road.
Well, it's interesting because I thought the Porsche would have more potency than the Mercedes, if that is a word I just come out with there. What I was trying to say is it feels like it's got more straight line speed compared to what the Mercedes has got. So there we see Tammy there in the Aston Martin, I should say, not the Mercedes. Beg my pardon with that. But he always gets hit. Oh, that was a little bit naughty from Paulbert Reyes.
Dude, he missed his braking point. I don't know if that, you know what I mean? I think for that one, Ross, that's probably a little bit of a racing incident, isn't it? Because he did look like he was that close. He missed where he broke.
Yeah, I don't think JT's going to, he probably gritted his teeth a little bit at that, but I don't know that there's going to be much coming from it. I mean, he's been racing around Reyes enough that he knows that he's not going to be going for something dirty like that. But unfortunately, that is going to hurt Ryan a little bit. That was a bit of an impact, so that might be slowing him down once he goes down these long straights here. We'll see if he starts to get a bit of a gap.
Yeah, Bussing's a little bit further back on that one. Everybody's kind of settled out in front. We've got Kirby and Dahlgren still going for it in third and fourth. They're overall track leaders because I think De Bruyn and Molin have not pitted as of yet. Either. In fact, I can confirm Molin and De Bruyn both have not taken their second stops. So we're going to find out how they get on after. Mr. Angelidis here, Tom, another little bit of a sniper, taking away the Hypercar Ram lead.
Yeah, and he's 7 seconds clear. And I think he's still yet to make his second pit stop. I think most of those in the Hypercar AM class have yet to take their second stops. But if Angelidis can go a little bit further, it might save him having to do that third tyre stop, which is going to make for a really intense end to that particular race. But now we've got a race on in the Hypercars because we've got Molin and De Bruyn remaining out there as expected because they came at least a lap or two after the two Cadillacs of Kirby and Barker. And Dahlgren, through that round of stops, has got himself in between the two Cadillacs.
Sorry, You handed it, you handed off a lot earlier than I was expecting that, and unfortunately, there was a mouthful of Diet Coke going down my throat at the moment that you stopped talking.
I'll continue on then, shall I?
It's all right. I've swallowed it now, mate. In between that, I didn't really have a lot of choice. It was either that or it was coming out my nose, one of the two. As Dahlgren and Parker carries on that one. You can see why Ross brings us along, can't you? Ross, you come along, and this is why you bring us on board to do it, because we're so entertaining.
Yeah, professional entertainment.
Hey, listen, it'd be boring if we weren't, Mr. Smith. I can tell you that one. So there we go. But listen, let's get back to the racing and not what's going on in my drinking or eating habits. Why I'm here as well. This, for me, I think, Tom, is going to get very interesting now as well, because there's gaps starting appearing. We've got Molin in pit lane, and we're going to presume De Bruin might be coming in the next couple of laps after that as well. This could throw a little bit of a spanner in the works in some of these classes with pit stops coming up.
Yeah, well, before the second run of pit stops, James, at one point the top 5 was separated by just over 6 seconds. That's how close it is. But of course, some are trying a little bit of a strategy game in this, as Robin Molin comes into the pit lane, and this is a chance for him to complete an overcut on Kirby, Dahlgren and Barker if he can nail this stop. De Bruyne stays out in the lead again. We expect him to remain there for at least one more lap, maybe even 2 if he can help it, because if he can go that long, it'll save him having to pit again, whereas all the others, pretty much, in the hypercars have to pit in again. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. That car has carried on. Oh, just see is that Joe? No, sorry, that's not Joe. That's one of the Uyans in the field, nearly running into one of the GT3s. I think that might have been McQuarrie that nearly got taken out as Holden gets lapped.
I do wonder if that... Hold on, I am just going to check here. Yeah, I think you might be right with McQuarrie as these guys start coming through the field. Monet and Bice are having a nice little battle as well. Matthew Downey in second and third for the AM. George is still going. He's got pits coming up very, very shortly. De Bruin still out in front, I'm going to presume. Yep, he hasn't got another pit stop against his name either. So that once he goes in, that will give Kirby the overall lead as well. 30 minutes to go here, Ross. We're getting down to the little bit of nitty gritty. Well, you know, where do we think this is all going to happen? Do we think we're looking at the last 10 minutes, or do we think we're just going to have Chinese fireworks all the way through?
Well, I think it is going to come down right towards the end, because if Kirby's going to definitely need to come in for a splash, and if depending on how much Valter and Robin have been able to save in those Valkyries, I think that we might be setting ourselves up for another Coda-style finish. We'll have to see. This is pretty good to watch. We've got these 9X8s. Oh, wow, that's Stephen Miller right where you want to be. Oh, yeah, that...
Dude! I'm sorry, what the blinking Nora is going on there, Johnny? You know what I mean?
I think he was just so focused on what was happening in front of him with Stephen Miller. He didn't catch Matthew in time and just started pulling over, and Matthews, he can't do anything about it, so he just...
Ross Smith, the sim racer, full of excuses already.
You know, I've been in those types of situations where things can just suddenly happen, and you're like, where did that car come from, you know? And that is a very tricky spot in the track, just because you're going left and right so much. Your vision is obscured, so it's really hard to tell where anyone is. And in Matthew's case, I mean, he wasn't doing anything wrong, he was just taking his line, but yeah, it was just unfortunate.
Your vision's impaired, but your relative overlay works fine. But hey, we won't talk about that, will we, Ross? We won't have to talk about technology that literally will tell him, dear sir, don't come back onto the track. You've got cars wrapped up behind you. And Gilles does near enough. Well, the difference between Lalonde and the other one is obviously Lalonde went round. So unfortunately, that 9X8 is not enjoying itself here, Ross, either on that one. I think, Tom, there's a couple of people that need to pay attention a little bit more. But I did say that Yankee chicane is going to cause problems, and the Yankee chicane has been causing problems.
It's almost like Lalonde didn't even bother to brake before he even got to the braking zone.
Yeah, well, that was Gutierrez, the first one, mate.
Yeah, well, the Gutierrez, well, I'm surprised he didn't go through the chicane, in all honesty. It would have been better just going through the chicane as opposed to trying to make the corner when he's got like 2 GT3 cars completely boxing him in. This is Valtteri De Bruyne in the pit lane for Hypercars. This is an important point in the race. If he can fuel that car to the end, there's every chance that Valtteri De Bruyne's going to win this.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's a good point, Tom. And that's exactly what they were looking at. Coming out of that COTA race, they know that they've got a fuel advantage as they go to the end of these. And just the makeup of Fuji, obviously another 90-minute race. It's gonna be really close. I think that they've got a good opportunity, especially through that sector 3, to be able to coast from fuel save. So it's gonna be on.
Oh, Johnny! There's a ball. Oh man!
So he pancaked it. The plane seemed low.
Yeah, and Lalonde doing something as well. Poor old Johnny there got a little bit of protection from the wall. Lalonde having a go at it, and he just runs wide as well, just not braking in time on that one. Easy mistakes to make, Ross. Do we think that? I think this Fuji. Oh, I think he went round at the end of that replay and all as well. He started going sideways. So, do we think Fuji's playing a little bit more of a harder game than some of these drivers expected?
Well, it's particularly when you start to wear your cars down, and if you're trying to double stint tires or anything like that. You know, if it picked up damage. I mean, you can even see on Kirby there, he's managed to pick up a little bit of damage, but. As we see his teammate there in a similar position. I mean, he's obviously down in fourth, kind of sandwiching these two in front of him. But yeah, as you just start to go on, you run into these problems and you just have to deal with them.
Well, Tom, as we're coming to the end there as well, we've got the half-time lead, I suppose, on your screen. In the pros, it's Kirby, Dahlgren and Molin, your top 3 at this moment. Hypercar AMS coming in behind that as well, and with Gilles Lalonde down in 11th, of course, on that one. Next is the Hypercar AMS. Manny Bice, Eric Bonet and George Angelidis are your top 3, with my other Calcavis. Then David Junt, JT Sammy and Paul Rios. David Junt, absolutely meteoric here this evening. In the GT3 AMS is McQuarrie, Miller and Adam Gray. Now I can give you a little bit of a gap on the GT3s. They are getting a little bit spread out there as well. Sean Eric, broadcast is looking good. Nice job. Thanks very much for that. And the professionalism of the commentary. I fully understand your satisfaction there once again, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a great race. We've great broadcasting. Tip of the hat to Paul Glover in the background here, giving us the sights and sounds of the race, being able to follow along with all the different battles going on here. And to you and Tom, just putting together a great show for the audience here. So it's always great to have James Perfect Broadcasting with us, JPB. So hats off to everyone all around.
Yeah, see, stunning job. Well done, everybody, here this evening on that one. Tom, 25 minutes to go here. Are we looking at Kirby, Bice, Junt, McQuarrie eventually overall winners?
It's far from being concrete, because if you look at De Bruyne, he's down in 8th position. Yeah, I think he's had a longer pit stop compared to the others, which should give me the alarming message that he's going to attempt to go to the end. The trouble he's going to have is track position.
So hold on, you're saying De Bruyne's going to go to the end?
I think so, because he went further on that second stint compared to the likes of Kirby, Dahlgren, Molin and Barker. Those came in before the half an hour mark to go, and De Bruyne pitted in, and it looked like a longer pit stop compared to his rivals. I would say De Bruyne is going to attempt to go to the end, James. I completely stand by that.
Yeah, I do as well. Blimey, I felt like I was in a schizophrenic head at that point with multiple voices going on there as well. Ross, do we think that's right? Do we think De Bruyne's really got an opportunity to come back?
I think so for sure. Yeah, I mean it's going to be tight. He's going to really have to stretch that fuel, but I think he's right on the bubble. I mean it's going to be very close. I think he's going to see a similar thing as to like what Kirby was doing at Indianapolis on Thursday night, where he came in and it was close to that half an hour mark, and I think they can do it. There's an opportunity. That V12 seems to be fairly decent on fuel, and like I said before, this is a track where you have like that curve right there. You have a lot of opportunities where you can do a lot of lift and coast. If you run into GT3 traffic, lift and coast, get in the slipstream, lift and coast. You can really claw back a lot of leaders before you get to the end, and I think that's what Wouter's going to have to do. I don't know if he'll be able to pull up quite a win. 47 seconds is going to be quite a gap to overcome, especially with a Kirby with his hair on fire. So if he's able to keep that gap as it is with pit road transit, I mean, he's going to have to do at least a splash. So I would guess at least a good 30 seconds. So, you know, I would say maybe a podium, you know, depending on how things play out in this last stint, could have a shot at more, but it's going to be close regardless.
Okay, well, we're going to keep an eye out on that one. Davidson coming in from the lead of the GT3s and is just gone into pit lane, lost a place to JT Tammy, but of course we expect one more across the board in the GT2s on that one. Daniel Scott, so is Robin the only one of the top three not pitting? I'm sure I'm a bit lost as well, because my timing screen only says he's pitted once here, Ross. I'm pretty sure he has pitted twice, Robert Molin. So are we just a little bit of information that's not quite coming up properly? He did pit apparently 7 laps ago, Dan. So he has pitted twice, but I do believe, Ross, anybody that pitted 7 laps ago and beyond is going to have to make another one.
Yeah, I mean, realistically around like 22, 24 minutes is your window. You can extend that. I would say once you're getting up towards around 28 minutes, you're really on the bubble. You might be able to pull it on this track, maybe, but that's going to be really. You're going to have a lot of things go your way, not only to make it to the end, but also do it in a way that's going to be fairly quick with the rest of the leaders. Which is why I was kind of starting to wonder a little bit, because at first it did look like Roger Brune was going to be able to really come out on top, but just as I was looking at those gaps, I was like, that's going to be a lot to overcome once it gets going through here. And these other guys, they're definitely going to be filling up and just pushing as hard as they can. Lost James.
Well, Kirby and Dahlgren are fighting for the lead. Sorry, James, you can see how close Kirby
It's all right.
I've
forgot to hit me push the talk button.
Go ahead, Tom.
You carry on, Tom. I'm just gonna sit here. Go.
So Kirby and Dahlgren fighting for the lead. It's the GT3 in the way. I think that might be Matt over to just duck out the way between out of those two hypercars, if I get my words out. Kirby and Dahlgren through Coca-Cola. And Kirby remains in the lead, but this is by far the closest Dahlgren has been to Kirby since the last round of pit stops. And this is going to be an intense end to this race. It's not going to be a one-man show like we saw from Dan Kirby at Indianapolis just a few weeks ago. Dahlgren feels there is a race win in the offing for him, and for that Toyota team of that SKS Motorsports squad. And we've got Schultz and Oyen in the picture for 9th and 10th in the Hypercar Pro class as we speak. So they're just coming up to, well, they're actually nearly together, these two battles. So Schultz and Uyen will have to be on their toes. I think that's Matthew Boyce, isn't it? That's just about to get in the way of Schultz and Uyen out of the last corner.
It's Mike. Mike's the one
Mike
on the
Boyce,
back.
right?
Well, we're going to find out here as well. Hey, that is going to be a interesting thing to look at here, Ross, in regards to fuel stops, isn't it? You know, as we've just been bellowed there. Do we think the GT3s are going to have this same issue? Or do we think Davidson is going to miss out because of the fact that JT and Bussink have managed to stretch their pit stops a little bit longer?
I think it's a little bit less of an issue. They can go up to 30, 35 minutes, so they've got a little bit more play with these 90-minute races where it's effectively you have 3 stints, and depending on what you're doing with your car, you can do an undercut, you can do a little bit more of an extension, shorten up that last stop. So they have a little bit more variance in what they can do on strategy here. So I think in that case, it's probably less of a concern unless one of those cars may have come in for damage earlier on, or maybe they stopped a little too soon trying to do an undercut, or spend a little bit extra time in the pits, or just simply miscalculating, maybe didn't put enough fuel in the car. But in either case, those would just be mistakes versus just trying to deal with the strategy that GT provide.
Yeah, okay, well, we're going to find out how they go down. Reyes is down in 5th at the moment. Miller still leading the GT3 AMS with McQuarrie tucked in right behind him. 2 separate hypercar battles going on your screen at the moment. Dan Kirby, your leader, with Magnus Dahlgren in behind him. This is where it's going to get exciting now, ladies and gentlemen. Going into the last 18 minutes as a GT3 down in front. I believe that could be JT Tammy, as he's going to find himself between a rock and a hard place at the moment here, Tom.
Yep. Yeah, this is JT Tammy. I think that might be Matt Overton, the other Aston Martin's just getting out of the way of these two. There go Kirby and Dahlgren past that GT3. Matt Overton running in 7th in the GT3 class, but these two have got through. Now they're coming up behind what looks like, oh, in fact, it's Schultz. Yeah, I was sorry, I got mixed up between the two Toyotas of Dahlgren and Schultz. Kirby's in between these two, so I was kind of a little bit off put, thinking, has Dahlgren got by Kirby? No, he hasn't. He's still behind the Cadillac, but Kirby's just holding on here. But these back markers could play a huge role in how this race gets decided. Dahlgren later on the brakes through Dunlop corner. The corner I know that JP hasn't liked all evening long. To be fair, neither have I, in all honesty. But there we see.
Mate, I ain't
Kirby
going
and
to like
Dahlgren.
it for the rest of the race, to be blatantly honest with you. I don't think it's just the opening part here on that one. I think it's going to be basically all the way through. But as these guys carry on at the moment in time, I can only tell you we have got 11 drivers, soon to be 9, Ross, on the lead lap here. You know, there ain't many people going to be left on this lead lap by the time these two get hold of them.
Yeah, I'm just watching. Okay, I wasn't sure who was going into the pits and who wasn't there, but so Uyan's into the pits. That's going to break this up. Schultz actually has a chance to give his teammate a little bit of an advantage here because he can make his car extra wide. Now, as a blue flag driver, you can't defend the position. However, you don't have to make it easy for that car to get around. And as a teammate, you can be very effective if you're in a position to do so. Just to help out the team, help your teammate possibly get a win on this one. Because at this point, he doesn't really have anybody he has to contend with. Uyan's off the board. So, yeah, if I were him, I would just decide to, maybe hold up on that corner a little bit more. Maybe, or just get out of the way completely. I don't know what he's doing here. But as a teammate, he has a chance to be effective here. That's what I'm trying to say. Back to you, James.
At the end of the day, for me, he just let him through. Kirby went to follow him off there. That's going to bring Dahlgren into the action. Kirby managed to get back on that one. I don't think Dan Kirby quite expected that back marker there to go and basically get out of the way like he did in a different direction altogether. That threw him out, and Dan Kirby nearly filling him off the circuit. Dahlgren still scrapping out now as well. We see down on the left-hand side, Carl Struhl, Peter Meyer, DNFs here, JT Tammy in pit lane there. Troy Uyan, I believe that is also in pit lane as these leaders go past Davidson at this moment in time with Busick on there. So it's going to be interesting to see now how he gets on. Jean-Paul Reyes stopped for an extra 7 seconds over Davidson here. Tom, how significant do we think that's going to be, or do we think Reyes has made a mistake?
We'll see soon enough. I just wonder how this battle is going to be playing out. Dahlgren's been sticking to Kirby like glue. Barker, you could just see in the background, not too far behind, and Molin will be involved in the squabble because it is. If they start fighting, James, they're going to be consuming more fuel this way, and that's going to play even more into the hands of Valtteri De Bruyne, who's attempting to go to the end.
Yeah, I can see what you mean on that one. I don't think, though, with 15 minutes to go, we're going to be able to tell Dan Kirby or Magnus Dahlgren here, Ross, not to fight. You know what I mean?
Well, for sure. Wow. For whatever reason, every hypercar they come up to seems to be just taking that escape road and getting out of the way. I still think that, if I were Schultz or, even if they came up on Suvic, I would just be doing everything I could to get in Kirby's way and help my teammate out as much as possible. And again, I know as drivers, it's a little bit underhanded. I'm not saying you go like, full Miller racing on it like the BMWs and IMSA and just like throw obvious blocks or anything. I mean, you do exactly what you need to try and help your teammate out without breaking any rules. And I think that's a valid way of doing it. It's certainly still going to be an exciting finish here. I'm impressed with how much Dahlgren's been able to keep up, and he's going for a pass.
He's going for it down into turn one.
Oh.
There's going to be a little bit of a kiss on the side there as well, as both AirPods come and have a snog. But Dahlgren now goes to the right-hand side. He covers Kirby off. That's not going to give Kirby any room. He goes through. I do wonder whether or not he let him back through on that one, Tom, after their initial incident.
Yeah, he used Kirby as a brake to get that car slowed down. I think that might have been perceived as
Oh,
illegal overtake.
Thomas Cairns, how dare you, dear sir? It signified that he did not brake in time. I don't think he used him as a brake. I just don't think he closed the steering.
Well, I thought Dahlgren didn't really get the car slowed down enough, really. That's why I thought he had to let Kirby go back through. But now Barker will be thinking about this. Timon Suvik has come in for his last stop now, so I expect this to be a splash and dash to the end. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out, and it might give an idea as to whether we're going to see more pit stops involving these two. That's Dahlgren all over the back of Kirby once more.
Yeah, David Schunt's locked in this one as well here, Ross. This is going to get very, very spicy. I know you got to love us and leave us in a couple of minutes or so here. Give us your final thoughts. Give us predictions, Mr. Smith.
I'm staying the same way I was at the beginning, you know, looking at the way these were. A little bit disappointing to see the way that the Valkyries kind of fell off there, but I still think, you know, as to Tom's point, they've been playing the fuel game on this, so we're going to see some pit stops here with just a few minutes to go, and that's going to really play into this. So I'm going to have to turn the broadcast on as I get on my car and I start driving to the airport, but I can't make a prediction. I can't guess.
More splinters for Mr. Ross Smith, as we're going to look at a replay here of Mr. Mike Bice and Stephen Miller. We're going to come a bit of a cropper, and yeah, neither of them wanted to make that easy, and unfortunately, gentlemen, karma has come a chameleon, shall we say, as you guys have just made contact on that one once again. Ross, it's been a pleasure having you in the booth. You know, once more, dear sir, it's always a pleasure and never a chore. You should well aware of this. I love chatting to you on a Saturday evening, Mr. Smith. Thank you so much for joining us.
James,
as these
Alvin's
guys
got by Kirby.
Yeah, they split Alan Holden, and Holden can't quite get out the way. Kirby's still trying it. Ross, you're going to leave at a pivotal point, dear sir.
Oh, this is painful. This is so good. This is such a great race. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And this is going to be like the make or break it point, I think, as Kirby's going to.
Kirby's going in.
Yeah. This is. We're going to see if Tom's prediction is going to come to light here. Just kind of watching back to where De Bruyn is. He's 58 seconds back from first, so that's pretty insurmountable to be able to catch up to Kirby. He's not going to be stopped for long. It's just going to be enough to cover this, 10 plus seconds to the 10 seconds, minutes to the end of the race. So it's just going to be a quick one. He'll be in and out. I'm curious to see if Dahlgren's going to have to do the same sort of dance at the end, or if he's going to pull back and say, okay, I might have just enough. I can kind of coast it in here. 10 minutes, that's a long 10 minutes. But anyway, I will let you guys go. Thank you once again for having me here, and good luck with the rest of the race.
Great insight there from Mr. Smith as we go into the final 10 minutes. Magnus Dahlgren is there. You can see it was a 45-second pit stop for Dan Kirby. Wilton De Bruyn there, Tom, not having enough to get over him at the moment.
No, well, De Bruyn just wasn't able to make up the time of that last stop. He's still 13 seconds off him. And I wonder if Barker came in as well, James, because he must have made another pit stop. So that leaves Dahlgren out there then. What does he decide to do? Does he maybe stretch it out and go for a shorter pit stop? Or is he thinking I can go to the end here? Because he was one of those that went longer at the end of the second stints compared to what the Cadillacs were doing. But what is he thinking now? Well, he's stayed out for another lap, and I just wonder, has he got enough fuel left in there? I suppose if he's not fighting with anyone, he can afford to just back it off because he's got 45 seconds in hand over Kirby.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried that Dahlgren pitted a long old time ago, though. I think that's the thing. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this last 9 minutes. I don't think there aren't a lot of people that I could look at and go, actually, I think you're going to hold the last 9 minutes. I don't know if Dahlgren's going to have enough. This pit lane is long anyway, and Molin, another one that could be in trouble as well. I think it could be a Barker Kirby 1-2 by the fact that by when Molin and Dahlgren go in here, Tom. I don't think these guys have got enough in the tank to last 8 minutes.
I mean, if you think about the number of laps they're having to do left, probably no more than 6 that Dahlgren's doing. There's a car spinning around. I wonder if it's not Stroll because he's already out of the race. Might have been Schultz that had gone out for another spin. That's sums up his day. Won't compound it any more for him if it was him that went round on the exit of Dunlop. So it was Monet apparently who got tagged at Dunlop, just to correct myself. And Dahlgren is setting himself. He's actually committing to pit entry. So this must mean a pit stop, James, as we see a replay of Monet getting tipped round at Dunlop. What has he managed to do here? Well, this is John Mayer, I think, we are seen initially.
There you go. You just saw that in
Monet,
front there. Yeah, we just saw it in front on that one. Maybe we'll have another look back and see if we can get the correct car. That would be amazing as well. Gutierrez and Uyan. Ooh, I'm having a nice little ding-dong with Troy. Troy and Johnny Gutierrez battling away for 6th and 7th. Dahlgren's in pit lane. Kirby is heading down the start-finish straight now. This is going to be touch and go at this moment in time. The gap's going to be closing at a rapid rate of knots. It is a long pit stop, and it is a long pit lane. Dahlgren's on the left-hand side. He's going to be in front of Kirby. He's going to be in front of Kirby, but Kirby's going to be up to full speed coming around turn 1. It's going to be very short. Second quicker on the pit stop here, Tom. Magnus Dahlgren taking the lead of the race, and we've only got 7 minutes to go.
Well, how far will Molin go? Because I don't see Molin winning this one if he pits in, but we'll find out soon enough. Bertha de Bruyne was not able to get in front of Dahlgren, Kirby or Barker's gamble of staying out and attempting to do remaining half an hour without doing that extra stop has not paid off, unfortunately, but at least he is in front of Johnny Gutierrez for 5th position. Now, our latest replay is on the Monet collision with one of the GT3s. Can't see which one that
Watch, he gets it behind him.
It's from the Mercedes AMG that's going to run into him. Yeah, and around he went.
Yeah, that Monet was very slow going around that chicane, unfortunately. Robert Molin goes one more. He hasn't got many more in it. They're taking about 19 laps to get to the pit lane, and we've got 6 minutes to go. 1 minute 27. Well, 1 minute, say 1 minute 30 lap time. Tom, I don't think Molin's going to be able to do it. I've got to be honest, they're normally 18, he's on 18 lap run now. It normally goes to sort of 19 at the most. I think Molin's going to go in pit lane. Wouter de Bruin, I think, although had the tactic right, I think the execution may have been a little bit awry.
Well, we'll see, but he's having to deal with all these GT3s that he has to negotiate. And there goes one of them. That will be, can't see which one that is. Is that Stephen Miller? Is just, no, it's not Miller, it's got to be Adam Gray, isn't it? Who's just got out of the way. 3rd in LMGT3. Yeah, that's the same Mercedes that hits Monet at the Dunlop chicane, which they've just entered through now. That might be Basink that he got out of the way of.
Yeah, I think we've got an issue with Mike Bice as well. I think he might have just had some drama in the final sectors, but Robert Molin, we're going to keep an eye out and see if he goes in this time here, Tom. 5 minutes to go. Molin's on the edge, should we say, between 18 to 20. He's just about to start lap 19 of his pit lane, of his pit run. Can he do this for the next couple of laps?
Oh, I'm looking at the time as well, James. We're probably looking, he might have to do 4 more laps of this. If he slows down by a touch, he could get it down to 3.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think Molin, if he wants to make this as short as possible, he's got to back it up. Even if he backs it up 10 to 15 seconds, he needs to slow this down a little bit. Otherwise, they are going to have an extra lap, and whether or not he can afford that is a different story altogether. There's Ryan Paulbert Reyes on the right-hand side at the moment, is leading the GT3 Pros. and he's another one on a different fuel strategy to David Junt. So yeah, we're going to find out how they get on that one. There's Elko Bussing on your screen here currently at the moment. He's in first in the GT3. He's pitted 26 laps ago. David Junt pitted 12 laps ago. JT Tammy pitted 8 laps ago, and Ryan Paulbert Reyes pitted literally 10 laps to go. So it's going to be whether or not Bussing is going to be able to hold this one to the end. Again, Tom, this is going to be very, very close. And if I was Robert Molin, I would be trickling along here for the next 3 laps, knocking on plenty of time, to be honest.
When he begun this lap, James, he had 21 seconds in hand. So if he can just reduce it by an average of 7 seconds a lap, that should be enough for him to win this race. So he's got to be really clever here. And of course, there's back markers of which his rivals are going to get past as well before they even get to him. So he's got to be very tactical here. He's got to play a really safe game. There is a hypercar ahead, but he shouldn't need to deal with that if he's going to back off.
Right, dude, he's got 17 seconds. We're going to have about 15 seconds. We're going to have about 2 laps to go. Surely he can drop off 7 seconds on a lap.
But Molin now is just going through 100. I'm looking at the time we've got left in this race. We've got just about 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we get a timing screens back up, Mr. Producer, please? That would be amazing. So we can actually see how long we have. Got 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Robert Molin, if he slows down 13-second gap, he kind of wants to make this the final lap in an ideal scenario, but he would probably have to knock that off quite a lot, and I don't believe he's going to be able to. I think it's going to be 1 and 1 more here for Robert Molin. The question will be, has he got enough fuel? Because he ain't going to lose 30 seconds over 2 corners, Tom.
No, he's a lump it straight. So we'll see what he decides to do. We'll have a look at the clock when he heads over the line. It's going to be very close. Now, this could end up being the last lap. Controllers in the pits for Hypercar, and I wonder if he's had some form of issue. It might be in a track limits violation penalty that he's having to do.
He is going to be very close.
1:36. He went over that line. He's got to back off on this one. He's got 11 seconds in hand.
He's got to just back it up here. If anybody knows Robert Molin or has got him in a voice chat, Molin has got to back this off by about, well, he's got 5 seconds to play with. We think it was only 2 here. Robert Molin can take this victory. 1:34 last time, 28.8 for Dahlgren. And I think Robert Molin is going to wrap this one up. Yeah, I think he's going to back it up enough here, Tom. And I think Robert Molin could take this win in the hypercars.
Yeah, and Dahlgren's going to be, well, I don't know whether he's going to be on the tail of Robert Molin or whether just focus on keeping Kirby back, because there's not long left in this now. 45 seconds to go. It's going to be close. He needs to do a 1:37. That's the fastest he's needing to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be needs it. I think it's coming down 4.6 seconds. This is literally going to go right to the end here. He's got 24, 23. He needs this over the couple of laps. It's down to 3.2. He has to get this down to 15. He needs this to be the last lap. He needs this to be the last lap. 2.2 seconds, Dahlgren's in behind. It should be the final lap. It could be all over. 3, 2. He needs to cross that line right on time. He did do it. Robert Molin. No! He ran out of fuel. Dahlgren got him. Oh, no. Dahlgren got him at the end. Nice make by Matthew comes over the line in a hypercar Rams. Elko Bussing is going to do the pit stop wonder cycle as well, and he's going to wrap it up in GT3's 11 seconds. And then Alex Query is going to win GT3 Hams on that one. But Robert Molin got done right at the end by Magnus Dahlgren, and I do wonder if we're able to go on board with Robert Molin and listen over the line here, please, because I got a funny feeling he may have been cutting out, or did he think his line was sooner?
That is heart-wrenching.
Did he think his line was sooner and that's why he backed off?
He should have backed off in the corners on the previous laps, and he would have been fine.
Wow. Well, there you go. Christ is going to be unbearable if he pulls this off, said Dan Scott. Trying to stop having another lap and keeping Dahlgren behind at the same time to Mr. Reese. There is a low. It'd be more fun if he loses it at the line. Really? Bro. And Sean Eric, old man, there as well in YouTube chat. But yeah, I do wonder whether or not he was spluttering or did he think his line was sooner. Well, we're going to find out a little bit after when we go into pit road. But great win for Matty Bice, a great win for Elko Bussink, and a great win for Alexander McQuarrie, and a great win for Magnus Dahlgren there, Tom, as well.
It was a great win for Dahlgren. His first win for a long time, actually. I don't know if he's even won yet this season, because I know Molin won at Austin, and Kirby's been winning pretty much all of them. Either him or Dan Herlock, who's not here this evening. Mike Boyce, congratulations to him in the Hypercar AM. Yes, I have got the right Boyce this time around. And Bussink winning out over David Yuntz. Bussink coming out on top. I think Yuntz closed down in the championship standings to JD Tammy, though, JP, so at least that's something to take from this. And Alexander McQuarrie taking a giant leap towards the LMGT3 AM title by the end of the season in Bahrain after Meyer's non-finish.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here are the results on your screen very, very shortly. And this is the replay I want. Are we going to hear him cutting out here? Yep.
Yeah,
spluttering. Oh, look how close he was. Dude. The pain is real. He was literally barely 10 feet away from the line there, Tom.
Oh, man. You cannot got any more cruel than that.
Oh, well, Magnus Dahlgren takes the victory. Robert Molin in second. Dan Kirby in third with Cameron Barker in fourth. Vuda de Bru in fifth. Johnny Gutierrez, Troy Uyan, Timon Suvic, Alexander Schultz, and John Uyan. Further down in 10th place there in the Hypercars was Gilles Lalonde rounding out the final spot in the Hypercar AMS. Matty Bice takes the victory. George Angelidis grabs second with John Mayer in third. Vinicius Concalves takes fourth with Eric Monet in fifth. Mike Bice in sixth for Carl Struhal rounding out seventh place. GT3's Elko Bussink, one stop less, managed to stay in front of David Jump with JT Tammy, Ryan Paul Reyes. Brian Van Busken battled his way to fifth. Alan Holden and Matthew Overton in sixth place there. Alexander McQuarrie, Stephen Miller and Adam Gray. McQuarrie strengthening his lead at the front of the GT3 AMS. Adam Gray really could have done with doing in front of Stephen Miller, and Peter Meyer, of course, DNF'd earlier on. Let's have a chat here with some of these drivers. Are going to start down in the GT3 AMS of Mr. Alexander McQuarrie, taking another victory and a one step closer before he gets to the end of the season in Bahrain. Alex, welcome in, buddy. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, guys. That was a tough one, man. The AMs were fast today. I'm like, I usually don't have to battle with too many people, but Adam was right there. I mean, Peter, and I was like, man, it was tough.
Yeah, but isn't that the fun stuff? Isn't that why we come racing?
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's good practice for me because I don't have too much experience in battling like that, so it's pretty good. Just picking up some pointers here and there, So.
All right, so let's put a real question out there, Alex, as well. You win the GT3 AMS, you go to GT3 Pros. Do you think you can hold your own?
I'm on the back of the pack of the GT3 Pros. I told you in a couple other interviews, I'm like, I still got a lot to learn. My strategies are just all over the place. I could hang in the back of the pack, but, I think I still have a lot more to learn.
Dude, my fuel strategy: run it empty, fill it up, run it empty. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's what I was doing in the beginning when I started. But all these AM guys start like, all right, they start field managing, no tires. I'm like, oh man, I gotta change up because they're already on to me. So I gotta adjust too. So.
Are you too quick though? Is that the problem, Alex? That's a different question altogether, buddy. Well, looking forward to seeing how you get on next round, mate. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Oh, Mac's Nothing Lab. He helped me late night last night with the setup and scored a PR in qualifying, and that's how I got ahead. And also, number one and only, my girlfriend. She allows me to do this stuff, and I really appreciate her.
Good job. You're not sleeping on the sofa this evening. I'm proud of you.
All right, guys.
Take care, buddy.
Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Right, next up, we're going to bring in the winner of GT3 Pros, Mr. Elko Bursink. He pulled a pit stop masterstroke, or did he just get lucky? Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. Elko, welcome in, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I think it was a pit stop masterstroke. At least I hope it was. It was very tight at the end.
How much fuel did you have, dude?
I had 2.6 liters left, with a chance of having to do one more lap, which would have brought my pace down to 1:55, I think. So that would have been very tight with Junt behind me.
Yeah, well, we saw it in the Hypercar Pros meet, and it didn't go too well for Robert Molin, I can tell you that much. But listen, dude, a nice little victory for you as well. Is that your first of the season in class?
No, I had a win with at Sao Paulo with the Aston Martin.
Ah, okay, cool. Well, there you go. There you go. I'm old, mate, and I've slept since then. All right? I'd like to point that out as well. Listen, dude, we're not really in a championship fight. We're tutoring in and out of the series. Are we going to see a bit more consistent Elko next season?
Well, there were a few weekends where I didn't have the time to race, so that was a bit of a bummer. And also with the start, the Lambo wasn't really up to speed, so that made it difficult from the get-go to be in the championship fight. Next season, I might be focusing only on the 2025 season, or the historics, depends on what car it is. But I think I will do one of them instead of two to be able to focus more on the championship and to be there every time.
That gives you more family time, though, buddy, doesn't it? Because it gives you at least a weekend off or so, a couple of weekends off throughout the month as well. Well, Elko, thanks so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out to Tony McGoffin. He helped me calculate what I need to do to make the one-stop go.
Well, great job there, buddy, and congratulations on your victory in the GT3s.
Thank you very much.
In your Hypercar AM winner, Mr. Matty Bice. Matt takes a victory, your first one of the season, if I'm not mistaken, and has it been an uphill battle all season to get this car on the where you want to have it in the form of driving? Matty, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, honestly, this is my first win of the season.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, didn't really think it was going to happen this year.
Why?
Well, new car is the biggest thing. Running from GTs for the past 10 years, and now suddenly moved into Hyper. It's a completely different game. Cars behave different, and I got to start looking in front of me too.
Right, this is the thing for me. We were having a chat, me, Ross, and Tom earlier on. Do you think I'm going to put this out there, and because you'll probably watch it back and DM me anyway. Do you think where we're so late in the season, it's taken you and Mike a long time to get this car dialed into how you want it?
It has. We don't have anybody helping us with setups or getting used to how the car drives or how we should be driving it. So it's taken a lot of the season just to get used to that. And so I'm hoping next year is going to be a completely different game from the start.
Are you going straight into Hypercars next year?
I think so. I like this car. I think he would agree. And I think we're going to try to start off strong with the Hypercar AMs next year.
Well, the credit where credit's due, because the season at the beginning was a little bit up and down. We saw you guys going round and round, and and on and off the track. And
Literally round and round.
It literally ran around more times than Kylie Minogue, mate, in a spinning video. But listen, you've come a long way, and do you feel that all of your hard work is now rewarded with this victory?
It's going to take a few more. I'm still not entirely sure if it's just the last couple twisty tracks have really favored this car or whether we're starting to dial it in. So I think I need to get a streak going, or we need to get a streak going before I feel like I'm where I deserve to be.
All right, well, you ain't got the last two twisty tracks, mate. You got Road Atlanta or Bahrain. You know what I mean? How do you think you're going to get on?
I hope good. I don't know. It's going to be the first time at both of them with the Hyper, so we'll see.
Get some practicing, buddy, because I can tell you what, Road Atlanta is definitely going to test you. Anybody you want to give a shout out to before the end of the race, mate?
Well, I want to thank Mike for, always there practicing, getting these things dialed in. Of course, I've heard a few others. I got to thank my wife for letting me do this on the weekends.
Good job.
I got to stay off that couch, too.
Yeah, dude, I agree. You've all got to stay off the sofa. If you don't thank your wives, you're all going to be on it, mate. So,
That's right.
First rules of interviews, thank the wife. Carry on, dear sir.
That's right. Thank you.
No worries, buddy. Well, you take care, buddy. We'll look forward to seeing how you get on at Road Atlanta.
Appreciate it. Maybe we'll see you next time.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time to have a chat with the man that was closing at a rate of knots. He only didn't want it to go one more lap, didn't run a bit Molin. Magnus Dahlgren also didn't want to give him the win, and he took it away 10 feet from the end of the race. So a great race here, and a well done and a great win for Mr. Magnus Dahlgren. If I'm also not mistaken, a maiden victory this season, Magnus.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much. The first of 2025, yes.
So that's two of you this season as well. So well done to you, bud. Listen, that last lap must have been dicey. Did you think you were going to get him?
To be honest, no. It looked like in the last couple of corners in the sort of bendy complex, I didn't think I would get him. But then when I saw he slowed down right before the finish line, I knew it was a done deal. So.
Oh, you didn't fancy slowing down and letting him have it, Magnus, and saying, fair play, son, great effort.
No. Full beans all the way.
Magnus, he led you all the way. He pulled out a master stroke fuel strategy, and then you go and snatch it away like a thief in the night from him 10 feet from the end of the line.
Yeah, stealth work, baby. That's it.
Magnus Ninja Dahlgren now comes along and just takes it away. Listen, dude, we're going on to Road Atlanta next week. Or not next week. When is it, actually? A couple of weeks. How do you think you're going to get on?
I don't know, really. But I think we'll continue our good work that we've been doing these last races with the Toyota and the team. So I think we'll do good.
Okay, mate. Well, I look forward to seeing how you get on there as well, bud. Listen, anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously to you guys and to everybody who's watching, and to my girlfriend who's watching, and also my teammates who help with strategy and also finished in some good points. So yeah, thank you guys.
No worries, buddy. Look forward to seeing you in a few weeks there as well. Magnus, congratulations one more time, dude.
Thank you.
All of these drivers coming in, Tom, thanking their wives and girlfriends. I think they're finally learning that the sofa ain't comfortable for anybody.
Well, who's most comfortable around the sofa? Probably
me dog.
Most probably, yeah.
Was there going to be something else coming out there, Tom, that I wasn't aware of?
I was going to maybe say the wife probably feels more comfortable on the sofa than
You haven't got a wife, have you?
No, I don't.
No, that's why you can say things like that. If I said that to my wife, mate, I'd be on the sofa in the garden. Let's just put it this way. So well done on that one. Another great race. We've got Road Atlanta coming up in a few weeks.
It's going to be a more challenging circuit than this one. I can tell you that for a fact. Considering the winding sections of the first sector, it's going to make for another strategy movie. I'm trying to make of all sorts of words here, but I've used like all sorts of different words quite numerous times But hopefully, Road Atlanta is going to produce a blockbuster. Let's just call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you on that one. Right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for everybody who's joined us there as well. Good show, racers. Good broadcast, JPB crew. Thank you very much on that one. Right. People, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time at the end of the broadcast. So, and take care. Have a great week from myself, JP, alongside Tom Cairns with Paul Glover. We'll see you on the track. I got that completely wrong. Hold on a minute. I'm in JP. I'm in alongside Tom Cairns and Paul Glover. As always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.